fiddling with a gun for about 30 seconds. He's looking at the clip. He's examining the clip. He puts it in the gun. He cocks the thing, gets it ready, and then he just shoots the guy right in the head. All of that is on video, and all of that happened just before 10 o'clock, right before our show started yesterday morning. It is the show on KMOX. Amy Marks Kors and Chris Ranji with you today. We will take your calls and texts, as always, 314-436-7900. Your voicemails, if you just want to drop us one of those, 314-944-1120. Of course, we're on the Odyssey app broadcasting live. As we always do, you can pick up KMOX wherever you are with that free Odyssey app. And you can also listen to Cardinals games, by the way, and then go back and catch the podcasts of our show or any other show that you missed here on this station. So, by the way, we're on the socials to Twitter and Instagram at the show KMOX. So that was great. That happened right downtown. Yeah. Apparently there was an altercation at the Shell station, which is directly across the street. And you see in that video just a guy sitting on the curb. There's a man standing next to him for, I mean, really, it was like 30, 40 seconds. And he has this gun. He's messing with it. He's trying to get it ready. Like, it's all happening in slow motion. And it's not like it's like 1 second and suddenly it happens. Like, this was going on for a while. And clearly long enough for the people who were bystanders to be recording it on their phones, to have the wherewithal to get their phones out and start recording. All of this took place just right down the street.
Well, and it happened in broad daylight, and it most likely, I mean, it looks like some kind of drug deal. The guy sitting on the curb seems out of it. The guy that was killed, just shot in broad daylight just down the street yesterday morning, he seemed to be out of it. He was just sitting there because, as you mentioned, the suspect, the man who shot him, stood there right next to him, getting his gun ready. Didn't necessarily seem particularly ready at the time. Got his gun ready, and then held the gun up and shot him execution style. And that's the big, what the hell is going on in this city for this morning? Because you have the circuit attorney, Kim Gardner, having a rally. Her supporters are rallying behind her because she's being unfairly portrayed as incompetent or negligent in her duty. So they're going to rally behind the circuit attorney as crime runs so rampant in this city that even after we had the tragic accident with Janae Edmondson, a 16-year-old girl who lost her legs, we had just a few days later another tragic accident where a car speeds through a red light around the stopped traffic, hits an SUV head-on. That car goes flipping over the Grand and Forest Park Avenue overpass. 4 people died, 4 people critically injured, and now an execution-style murder down the street last night. But let's make sure we rally behind the circuit attorney.
Look, I mean, she deserves all the criticism in the world. I'm not putting all of this on her. I'm not putting this one incident on her or her office. St. Louis has a crime problem. It has had a crime problem for as long as I can remember. I'm 45 years old. My birthday's coming up. The entire time I've been alive, St. Louis has had a crime problem. It has been worse in the last few years, as it has in a lot of cities across the country. But there is it's at minimum, it's uneasy knowing that happened in the middle of the day, right down the street from where you are. And I mean, this kind of thing does happen in this city. I don't know what the fix is for it. I know that can't happen. And stories like this, every time we talk about something like this happening, it's just another thing. It's just another reason to give people the idea they don't want to be in this city. They don't want to come downtown. They don't want to visit downtown. They certainly don't want to live downtown. This is not good for us. And it's tragic that happened. I don't know the guy who was killed, his circumstances. There's not much known about the victim, at least as of right now. There isn't anything known about the suspect except for what you see on video. They are still looking for him. So all of these things are happening at once. And it is it's disheartening because, you want there to be some light at the end of that tunnel. You want to feel like there is a way out of this. But the longer this goes on, the more incidents like this happen, the less you feel like there is coming out of it.
Yeah, and the more you can, the more I do point my finger at the circuit attorney. When before we knew the whole history of Daniel Riley and how he violated his GPS rules over 50 times, how the circuit attorney did not show up in court, how she thought the victim was dead. By the way, the prosecutor.
I don't think this has anything to do with that. This is a separate issue.
But here's why it's not to me. The prosecutor in the Daniel Riley case, should be talking to the victim. So to say, we thought the victim was dead, which meant your own prosecutor isn't even speaking to the person they're supposed to be advocating for. That's bad. So at first, when I heard about the young girl that lost her legs, it was tangentially pointing a finger at Kim Gardner because I thought, this is what happens when there's lawlessness. As it turns out, it was a direct finger that you could point at Kim Gardner. Yesterday, the execution style murder that happened just down the street, I'm tangentially pointing my finger at Kim Gardner because the more that lawlessness continues, the more criminals have a complete cavalier disregard for any type of law because they know nothing is going to happen to them. They're
These
not
people
going to
appear
get
to be
caught.
on drugs. I don't think they're thinking clearly.
But again, there is you have to make judgments based on experience, based on history, based on following this city and looking at the statistics and seeing crimes not being prosecuted. We know that when criminals are caught and when they know they're going to be prosecuting, it is a deterrent to crime. It's why the auto theft task
Well, we don't know
force
that for
works.
sure.
The data shows it.
No, there's evidence that suggests that might be true. There's also inconclusive evidence that suggests it may not do the job you
Working
think
in
it
St.
does.
Charles, it's working in St. Louis County, and there are
Well,
other
there's a
cities
different
across the
dynamic of
country.
people who live there. It's not quite the same as the
I'm not
makeup
gonna let-
demographically of St. Louis.
I'm not going to let perfect, as you say, be the enemy of good here. What I can tell you now
I'm not
is
either,
not
though.
prosecuting crime is not helping. One of these, I think you can absolutely make the argument that one of these crimes might not have happened. Maybe 1 in 10, maybe 1 in 5. Who knows? If there was at least some assurance that these criminals would get caught and they would be prosecuted, but there's zero right now. There's zero. The criminals run the city. You don't run it. I don't run it. Kim Gardner certainly doesn't run it. The criminals do.
That's Amy Markscores. I'm Chris Ranji. When we come back, we're going to talk more about Kim Gardner, who, she had an interview yesterday with Roland Martin. She has not spoken to, as far as I can tell. I know she hasn't spoken to this station. I don't know if she's talked to anybody else, given or granted an interview to anybody else in this city as far as media is concerned. But she did talk with him. A lot going on there with her. We also want to revisit what happened during the press conference last week. More importantly, what happened leading up to the press conference last week. We'll get into that next here on KMOX.
Following Saturday's City SC home opener, it's the debut of Extra Time with Mr. Soccer Bill McDermott. Live from the Pitch Athletic Club and Tavern. Enjoy warm food, a cold drink, and a St. Louis soccer conversation. That's Saturday immediately following the game, 10 till midnight on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
Rally House, shop every team in town. College and pro, come on, it's time to go.
It's kickoff time, St. Louis. Shop Rally House for the best selection of St. Louis City SC gear as your new team takes the pitch during their inaugural season.
Cardinals, Blues, Missouri State, Tigers, Billikens, don't be late. Rally House, Rally House. It's your city, it's your house, it's a Rally House.
Shop St. Louis City SC in-store and online at rallyhouse.com.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing, together millions of things for our planet. Many great wines now come in boxes, which produce half the overall emissions that bottles do. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
We're joined once again by Dr. Colleen Bosler of the Audiology Center. Doctor, let's address the elephant in the room. Over-the-counter hearing aids.
Charlie, it's no secret that a cheap amplified listening device has been on the market for years. But what makes these devices different in recent news is that they now can market them as hearing aids. So there is a newfound interest. But it's important to understand that these devices do not have a prescription for the patient's specific loss, which can be dangerous and ineffective. And at the Audiology Center, I love to help people, educate them, get them to know the major differences, and I want to guide them towards what's best for their individual needs.
Well, thank you, Doctor. Dr. Colleen Bosler at the Audiology Center. Make an appointment today at 636-441-7470 or simply online at audiologycenterstl.com.
Manor Grove has been caring for seniors for over a century. Everyone at Manor Grove is treated like family, and that's exactly how our residents should feel, like family. Our staff strives to make Manor Grove feel like home. Be assured, your loved one will be well taken care of at Manor Grove. The entire Manor Grove team views everyone inside as family and looks forward to seeing residents and coworkers every day. See for yourself at manorgrove.com and take our virtual tour. Welcome home to Manor Grove.
If you own a small business, you know the value of time. GetRefunds.com does too. That's why they've made it easy, no matter how busy you are, to apply for the Employee Retention Credit or ERC. Go to refunds.com to get started and in less than 8 minutes, see if your business qualifies for ERC assistance. Your business may be eligible for a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee kept on payroll during COVID-19. GetRefunds.com has already helped clients claim over $3 billion in payroll tax refunds through the ERC, and they may be able to help your business too. There's no upfront charge either. They don't get paid until your business gets its refund. Many businesses believe they won't qualify based on incomplete or outdated information. So don't let this opportunity pass you by, because this payroll tax refund is only available for a limited time. Go to getrefunds.com. That's getrefunds.com.
KMOX celebrates Black History Month, honoring Black icons.
Dr. Kizzmekia Corbett is a viral immunologist and assistant professor of immunology and infectious diseases at Harvard University School of Public Health and the scientific lead for the coronavirus vaccine team at the National Institutes of Health. The vaccine concept was designed by Dr. Corbett's team. We salute Dr. Kizzmekia Corbett.
KMOX, celebrating Black artists, athletes, and trailblazers all month long. More at KMOX.com.
Work or play, KMOX is right there with you. We go where you go.
And stop telling one side of the story. For an example, you guys should ask a couple questions. Number one is real simple. Who can Kim Gardner file a complaint against for racial harassment and ethnic intimidation? What organization does the attorney general belong to and governor belong to? Do they belong to the Ku Klux Klan?
Kim's office has nothing to do with violence. You know, this country went to war for taxation without representation. Wow. And that's what this is.
That was last week, leading up to the press conference that Kim Gardner held. And she held that press conference after the criticism she was facing from people like the mayor of the city, Tashara Jones, who said she had lost the trust of the people. And all of this is in response to the rising crime in St. Louis, and in particular, what happened to Janae Edmondson last weekend. 2 weekends ago now, I guess it's been. And those were her supporters who were there prior to the press conference, who were also making noise during the press conference. And I don't know if they were acting as credentialed members of the media. I'm not exactly sure who they were.
Like rally supporters. That's what it felt like, because they were shouting those things, saying those things to the credential media.
Yes.
And then those were the same people that during the press conference
got to ask questions, and she took them.
Yes, and shouted over the credential
But also
media.
there was and I'm not sure who it was, who was there up next to her, who said to them, tried to calm them down at one point, those folks. I don't know who that was either. Here's my issue with it. This is an elected official, and what they are saying is she was duly elected by us. You are trying to remove her from her job when we have spoken and we have said we want her to be our circuit attorney. And what they are saying, and I think at least part of this is they believe racism might be involved. And what I would say is there is plenty of racism in this city. There's plenty of it in this country. And I'm sure that for some people who want to remove Kim Gardner from office, there is an underlying sense of racism that if they won't speak it, but it's probably there, that has been informing their opinion of her for the last several years. However, in this particular case, it is clear that she's not very good at this job. That's not to say that she can't do another legal job, that she can't be an attorney somewhere. But for whatever reason, and we've spoken to people who have worked in her office. Patrick Homaker worked under her as a progressive. And he told us last week it is one of the most disorganized places he has ever seen. And people leave that office. So I understand the root of the anger that a lot of folks are feeling. But if you're removing all of that and looking specifically at her, it is very clear that she's not up to this specific challenge.
Yeah, she's profoundly bad at this job. And this goes before the Janae Edmondson tragedy with her losing her legs. It's a repeated history of negligence, abdication of duty, incompetence, whatever you want to call it, over and over and over again. My goodness, you can go back to the Erica Greitens trial with William Tisby and how they were lying in court. They knowingly withheld evidence from the defense team. All she had to do in the Eric Greitens case was be moderately competent, but she wasn't. She was officially reprimanded by judges. I know there was a push by, I don't know, an organization, whether it's the Missouri Bar Association, to disbar her. The Missouri Supreme Court had an opportunity to take away her legal license. They did not. I feel like they should have. Like, this criticism is founded on a history of failures and incompetence from her office. And I think what happens is it's over and over again. You talk about it, man, she's not doing a good job. Man, oh, look, she lied in court. Oh, she has sent all of these high-profile homicide cases to someone who is on maternity leave. We can talk about these things, but it's just so visceral and unignorable when you see a 16-year-old girl lose her legs. And it was such a direct connection to the circuit attorney, her inability to put a criminal behind bars. And that's what brought this to this watershed moment. It's not just one thing. It was a history. Her career legacy so far in St. Louis.
Sure. And I'm not naive here. I know there are people who did not like the fact she was elected in the first place before she even took the job. I'm sure of that. You'd have a very difficult time convincing me otherwise. But it has been proven over the last several years since she's been in office that this may just not be for her. And that's fine. It's nothing against her. It's just this job, she's not suited for it. Maybe she could grow into the role, but St. Louis can't afford to have somebody growing into the role and give them years to do it if she's not doing the job right now. Now, we have tried, I know this station has tried to have a conversation with her. Other media outlets in the city have tried to do the same thing, but she has not spoken to us. She was on Roland Martin's show yesterday, though, and was asked a bunch of questions. And a lot of the responses were similar to what was said during her press conference last week, the one we're referencing now, that this basically is a witch hunt against her and that there are people with political motivations who just want her removed from office, and this has nothing to do with anything else. There was one part of the interview, though, that really struck me, and this is bothersome to me, and I'll just let you hear this exchange.
So when the mayor says you lost the confidence of the people, but you've been reelected.
You know, I'm not going to talk about the mayor. What I'm going to talk about is for some individuals who chose on this case to have willful ignorance of the criminal justice system and to actually say that I control every part of the criminal justice system, even the bond of a judge and a GPS monitoring situation of this individual that caused the unfortunate tragedy of this young lady, Miss Janae Edmondson. That is simply false information. And it's the continual attacks of the status quo, tough on crime rhetoric that has, one, been the actual issue in this state and across other states.
Okay. Now, here's my issue with all of that. I think factually she's wrong on some of that. My problem with this is she had taken to task the Attorney General, Andrew Bailey. She had taken to task Governor Mike Parson. And again, I would not doubt if at least some of their motivation is strictly political. I think that you have to acknowledge that's probably true. But you need to, if you are defending yourself against all of your detractors, that means all of them. That includes the mayor. So you should, and in fact, of all the people who spoke most directly about Kim Gardner last week, I thought Tashara Jones saying she's lost the trust of the people was the one quote that stuck out the most. How do you not respond to that?
Right. That's hitting the nail on the head. And that's why I feel like you're being very charitable in your discussion of this, assessment of this, saying maybe she's not up to the task. Sure, maybe she's not, but I could at least respect it if she said, our office is overwhelmed. We're trying our best. I would need help. I do need more help, whatever it may be. But she's so bad at addressing any of these issues. She's so profoundly defensive. She immediately casts herself as a victim. She lies about easily verifiable court proceedings and court records, even in her recent statements a couple days ago. The court records, they're there. They're public information. We can read them and say, oh, wow, that was a lie. That was a lie. She packs her press conference, the one time she does address the media, with supporters who shout down the media, I should say. Not only do they shout down the media, but they say, oh, the Attorney General, are they members of the KKK? Levying horrible accusations against them. And she points fingers at everybody else, but she constantly either ignores questions or casts herself as a victim. It'd be more respectful if she said, yeah, we are in over our head. Our office is overwhelmed, but she doesn't.
The Community Justice Coalition holding a press conference today in defense of Kim Gardner. We will talk to Zach Baruti later. Zachy Baruti, that's later. But coming up next, Christine Byers is covering that with KSDK, and she'll give us more on that rally or meeting. We'll do that next here on KMOX.
It was heard live on KMOX.
An absolutely wild news conference by Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner that devolved into a rally.
And what did Dave Glover think about it?
Personally, my initial response is that was so much worse than I could have ever dreamt. This is one of the most embarrassing days in the history of St. Louis politics. What an embarrassing joke that entire thing was. My only solace is that anyone with half a brain out there listening or watching can see through this.
Dave Glover speaks his mind.
There's no way that just happened.
Weekdays beginning at 1 on KMOX.
Let's face it, credit cards are pretty much a necessity.
New tires for the car? Here's my card.
I order takeout? Here's my card. And most of us just accept the high interest rates credit cards charge as a necessary evil.
What are you going to do?
Get a low fixed-rate credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream from $5,000 to $100,000 and pay off those credit card balances. Apply online, and you could get your money as soon as the day you apply. The average credit card company charges over 19% APR. But with Lightstream, you can get a fixed rate as low as 7.99% APR with autopay and excellent credit.
Now I can pay off my high-interest credit cards and save money with a much lower rate.
Apply today at lightstream.com/radio and get an additional interest rate discount. That's lightstream.com/radio. Lightstream.com/radio.
Subject to credit approval. Rates range from 7.99% APR to 23.99% APR and include a 0.5% autopay discount. Lowest rate requires excellent credit. Terms and conditions apply and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/radio for more information.
Beneath their gorgeous exterior, 1-800-GOT-JUNK trucks were designed to be ready for anything.
How about construction site junk?
All you have to do is point.
Retail, grocery store, warehouse, office junk?
Point.
How about the monumental junk left after a fire or a flood or a hurricane?
This time, you'll need to do it with your other hand.
Why?
Because the first hand will be tired from all of that other pointing.
I see your point.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
At 10:30, we have cloudy skies and 47 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Carol Daniel. An alarming new CDC survey of high school students found 42% of them feel persistent sadness or hopelessness. CBS News, along with CBS television stations, will exclusively stream the documentary Connecting the Dots, exploring the global youth mental health crisis. Jamie Howard, a senior clinical psychologist at the Child Mind Institute, explains what could be some of the leading factors.
We think that in part it's social media and the pandemic, but it's also more than that. It's the culture in which we live. So kids these days are exposed to vast amounts of information that they weren't when we were kids.
Nissan recalling more than 800,000 SUVs because the key can accidentally turn and shut off the engine while it's being driven. Not only would that cause the engine to lose power, it would make the airbags inoperable in a crash. Nissan has no reports of crashes or injuries in the Nissan Rogue and Rogue Sports over several model years. It says until it can come up with a fix, owners should not put anything extra on their keychains. Federal health officials warning about a drug-resistant bacteria that's causing a spike in stomach illnesses. It's called Shigella. Doctors say it normally resolves itself with rest and proper hydration, but the CDC says it can occasionally cause serious illness in some cases that have led to hospitalizations and sometimes even deaths. Watch for a stall 270 southbound before Dorset Road. It's on the right shoulder. Another stall to watch for 55 southbound past 141 on the right shoulder. And the KMOX forecast for this afternoon, look for sunny skies, the high around 60, clear to partly cloudy tonight, the low of 47. And then for tomorrow, look for sun mixing with some clouds. It'll be a warmer day tomorrow. The high tomorrow could hit 70 degrees. Right now, we have cloudy skies and 47 degrees. It feels like 44 downtown at the Arch. I'm Carol Daniel, KMOX News.
Hey guys, I'm David Spade. Applause.
I'm Dana Carvey. Are we the host of something?
Oh, Fly on the Wall. Mm-hmm. Now, Dana, and I would never say this, one of Apple, Spotify, and Amazon's top podcasts of 2022. I'm just reading that. I would never say that.
We both got our break on a little thing called Saturday Night Live.
Each week we sit down with friends of the show and share stories and BS about the good old days of SNL. You can find Fly on the Wall, a presentation of Cadence 13 on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast.
Hi, this is Ken.
And Lori Heisey of Heisey Advisory Group. We're dedicated to helping individuals and families work toward their financial goals.
Join us Sundays at 9:30 a.m. for Your Retirement Highway.
Investment advisory services by individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Broadcasting from the Underlying Tree Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
Charlie Brennan sees clearly thanks to Dr. Birdie and Malhotra. You can too. Go to youridoc.com today. Or call 314-966-5000.
Just like golf, investing your money can be tricky. Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft here. When market downturns happen, investors are tempted with products that promise to guard against inflationary sand traps. From coins to cryptocurrency and everything in between, always research the investment before you write the check. Visit MissouriProtectsInvestors.com for more information. That's MissouriProtectsInvestors.com.
Paid for by Investor Education and Protection Fund.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
With one of the best savings rates in America, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Even easier than choosing Slash to be in your band.
Next up for lead guitar. You're in.
Cool. Yep, even easier than that. And with no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, is it even a decision? That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One and a member FDIC.
I'm Dakota Hudson. I'm Jordan Hicks.
I'm Cardinals pitcher Jack Flaherty.
I'm Tommy Edman.
I'm Cardinals outfielder Jordan Walker.
I'm Paul DeYoung.
I'm Woodson Contreras. I'm Adam Wainwright, and you're listening to the voice of the Cardinals, KMOX.
It's the show on KMOX. Amy Marks Corps' Chris Ranji, the Community Justice Coalition, holding a press conference and a rally today this morning in response to the effort to oust Kim Gardner from the circuit attorney's office. Christine Byers has been covering the story, has been covering the Janae Edmondson story and everything that's happened with the circuit attorney over the last several days, last couple of weeks now. And with KSDK, she joins us this morning on KMOX. Christine, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
So you were at that rally today. First of all, is it concluded or is it still ongoing?
No, I did not attend that rally today. We have our reporter, Mercedes McKay, is over there.
Okay, so let's talk then about what's going on with this office. And you have been on top of it. I mean, a lot of the news outlets in the city, KMOX has been on top of it. You have been on top of it. What, in your reporting over the last week and a half to 2 weeks, what has really stuck out to you the most? Maybe something the rest of us have not really thought about or heard.
I mean, honestly, when you look into the records that exist to prove or disprove public statements that are made, one of Kim Gardner's insistence is that her office asked multiple times to revoke Daniel Riley's bond. And Daniel Riley is, of course, the man now accused of causing the accident that led to the tragedy with Janae Edmondson. He was supposed to be on bond at the time for a robbery case dating back to August of 2020 that still was in the process. It was supposed to go to trial in July of 2022, but it did not. Her office has issued statements saying that's, because nobody was ready to go to trial. The records from the courts conflict with that. The judge entered a document saying everybody was ready except the state, except for Kim Gardner's office. Then the records, when she talks about dates that her office made requests to revoke the bond, transcripts do not reflect that at all, that her prosecutors did not object to the bond being set at home arrest and GPS monitoring.
Well, and that's what's shocking to me is that you have the history so far that we've seen with her office, whether she's overwhelmed or incompetent with high-profile cases going to a prosecutor who is on maternity leave. Now we have her office issuing statements that, as you mentioned, are easily verifiable or disproven. So to me, this seems unprecedented in the level of, well, I guess, recklessness with her statements. Is she assuming that the press isn't going to follow up on them, or is her office really so out of control that they have no idea what was said in court?
Great question, Amy. All we can do on our side as journalists is look for records to back up what the courts are saying or back up what her office is saying. I mean, that's our job, to search for public records. And so far, this is what we found.
You had tweeted, in fact, you just did it about a half hour ago, about the number of cases that have been sent in by this prosecutor. And the number is down from the time she took office. And we're talking a decrease of about 5,000 cases. She was upwards of over 8,000, now just a little bit over 3,000. What is that an indication of? It seems like an indication of just not a lot being done. Is it that simple, or is there something deeper?
I mean, you have to wonder then, okay, well, cases get issued when the police apply for charges, right? So could it be that the police are not applying for as many charges? Well, we recently heard her office confirm that there are at least 3,000 cases pending in an email box that was created during the pandemic, where officers send in applications for charges or warrants, if you will. And so, I mean, that could be one reason why the numbers get lower, is again that police aren't bringing as many cases. But I think what we've heard from her own office confirming there's 3,000 now. The police department says it's more like 4,000. But let's even go with the 3,000 number. Why are they pending for so long, for years?
Mm-hmm. Well, and speaking of police officers applying for warrants. What do we know about the list of officers from whom Kim Gardner will not accept any evidence or cases? I know it was dozens, maybe up 50, 60, 70. What do you know about that?
Amy, great question. Basically, the answer is it's unknown because her office and the police department will not release information about who is on this list. That is why it is not considered a Brady list. A Brady list is a list of officers who have questionable credibility. It is made public so that the public can know about problem officers and questions of credibility and the reasons for that credibility. More importantly, the public then has access to that information. It can be used in court for a defense attorney to impeach a police officer. So there are very, strict and established principles of what a Brady list is. And this is not that because we don't know how many officers. At one time, the police union estimated it was about 50, but the police union only knows about the officers who go to the police union and tell them they're on the list. So it could be anywhere from 50 to, I don't know. We just don't know. And we don't know the reasons. And we don't know how officers can get off of this list once they're on it.
So my question is that even legal? Is it legal to blacklist officers and not put them officially on a Brady list? Because that just seems arbitrary and personal and a shocking lack of transparency.
Well, I can tell you one thing, that the police union attorneys, when the list first, when that news first broke years and years ago, they fought it pretty hard in court. But they so far have not been successful in overturning this practice. But they have been successful, and so has the circuit attorney's office. They've been successful in keeping this list a secret.
The circuit attorney's office, their defense of that was they kept it secret because they didn't want to drag individual officers through the mud, and they tried to work with the police department on that. Is that just not accurate? What exactly is happening there?
There was one occasion that I did find out about through some records I was able to obtain, that there was a smaller group of officers who the police department worked with the circuit attorney's office to get off of the list. She agreed to let them go through some training, and if they completed that training, she was agreeing to remove them from the list. There have been tiny little movements like that, but again, very closed doors, very behind the scenes, not transparent, not in the public at all.
Talking with Christine Byers of KSDK, and one thing that I still have not been able to reconcile, because I have not seen a definitive report on this since it came out last week. There were two different victims in that robbery case that Daniel Riley was responsible for, and the circuit attorney, there was a mix-up and thought they were both dead. What do we really know exactly what happened there?
Yes. So in August of 2020, Daniel Riley and two other defendants were accused of committing an armed robbery. And for some reason, that victim was listed in the circuit attorney's system as deceased. As recently as a week ago today, her office was telling a defense attorney and a judge the victim in that case was deceased, and therefore the charges were dropped against him. The trial did not commence. Everybody was in place for that trial a week ago, and it did not move forward because her office was telling the defense that this victim was deceased. Turns out there was another unrelated robbery case involving a separate victim and involving the same group of suspects. That victim actually did die. But for some reason, both of the victims were listed as deceased in the system, leading to the dismissal of robbery charges against one defendant just 1 week ago. And when I asked the circuit attorney's office for a statement when I found out Daniel Riley was supposed to go to trial in July of 2020, and the state was, quote, not ready, according to the judge's memo, I was told that was because the victim was deceased. That's not the case. We tracked him down. We tracked his family down. He is very much alive. Now, in fairness, the charges against that defendant that were dropped last week have been refiled, but that starts the clock all over again for these families waiting for justice and waiting for a new trial.
And that's shocking because the prosecutor advocates for the victim. That's your client, you could say, which means that office is not even talking to the people they're trying to represent, made almost zero, if any, effort to contact the very person that they're advocating for, the victim here. I don't understand how that mix-up happens. And you mentioned how the clock restarts. I know Kim Gardner has talked about the importance of reforming criminal justice. Well, having these criminals with charges against them waiting years for a trial, that doesn't seem very just.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there are multiple families we've heard from over the years, and several I've done stories with, talking about, sitting in jail for a very long time, waiting for their day in court. The public defender's office has been very vocal about some of the processes and procedures her office has instituted that leads to longer jail time and longer waits. In fact, it was mentioned in the report that was done following the riots at the jail. And there was a, committee of citizens that looked into what were the reasons for all of this disruption. And a big chunk of that report focused on the practices of Kim Gardner's office causing delays in getting people in court.
Christine Byers, KSDK, we appreciate your time today. Thank you for the information, and we appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
That is Christine Byers with us here on KMOX. When we come back, did you see this? That is next. Amy Marks Core's Chris Ranji on the show.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
It's incredible. After using Babbel, I'm ready to start having real conversations in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
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 Babbel. Évidemment.
Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
They say good things come to those who wait, unless you bite into a Hot Pocket right out of the microwave. Waiting to see a financial advisor about retirement could also bring some pain. The pain of watching your money evaporate in a stock market decline. The pain of trying to figure out Social Security and Medicare on your own. Or the pain of writing huge checks to the IRS that you really didn't have to. At the All Financial Group, they believe the more you know, the better decisions they can make. They offer a complimentary retirement assessment. Find out where you are, how you're doing, and if there's a way to improve your retirement outcome. Don't wait. Call the All Financial Group today, 636-230-8824, or online at yourmoneymattersstl.com and set up your complimentary retirement review.
Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Wealth Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor. BWA and All Financial Group, LLC are separate companies.
If you're thinking about doing a little home improvement, especially one that you don't have to do the installation, think about getting a Beam central vacuum system. It's the kind of home upgrade that really checks all the boxes, because when you compare and evaluate, a Beam system makes so much sense. There's a reason why nearly every high-end home in St. Louis is built with a Beam. A Beam vacuum system is very smart because it adds value to your home. Beam Whole House Vacuum System starts at just $11.99, including installation, and it's an investment, not just in your home, but in a healthy lifestyle. Every time you vacuum, you'll save time because a Beam is more efficient and 5 times stronger, so you'll clean better in less time. And since you're getting all the deep down dirt and grit, vacuuming with a Beam will keep your rugs and carpets looking brand new for many years to come. So you get value from your Beam system every day. Call Beam of St. Louis today 314-567-1515 or online at beamstl.com.
Beam's home sale is starting early. Every system for every size home now on sale. There are over 10,000 reasons why steel is not sold at Lowe's or the Home Depot. Find tools for the job site or your own backyard at over 10,000 authorized local steel dealers. Find yours at steelusa.com.
Furnish Hope right here in St. Louis. Donate your unneeded furniture and household goods to Home Sweet Home. Visit www.homesweethomestl.org to learn more.
The greatest radio talk show host ever.
Now, more of the show.
Did you see that thing? I can't believe it. Something is obviously wrong.
This is a joke, right?
Oh my God. Are you freaking kidding me? No way.
You gotta be kidding me. Don't feel bad. There's no way you could have known that.
Now, did you see this with Chris and Amy on the show?
The most exciting thing happened last week while you were out,
Oh,
Amy.
man, what is it?
Well, see, there was all the Kim Gardner stuff,
Yeah.
and that's not fun. But at the St. Louis Zoo, a bear named Ben, he's an Andean bear,
Mm-hmm.
escaped from his enclosure and was roaming in the zoo. They had to put the zoo on lockdown. They finally found him.
But
He,
for the second time, right?
yes,
He had
second time in a month.
He had escaped before.
He had escaped
Ben,
before.
yeah.
So I made the declaration that he should be allowed to roam free.
Because he earned it.
He earned it. He earned it. If you can get out of your enclosure twice, and he was like testing the weaknesses in the fence, like the dinosaurs at Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you can get out of your enclosure, you should be granted your freedom. He should get to live wherever he wants. He should be able to at least roam free within the zoo limits.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at least that. Well, our very loyal listener, Big Blonde Dan, notified me of this, that an owl that is in a, or had been in a coop in the Central Park Zoo, a Eurasian owl by the name of Flacco.
Like as in Joe Flacco.
Wow.
What?
Amy.
That's what I would name him.
Okay. Anyway, found his way out of the enclosure, and they have decided to just let him roam free in the park instead of recapturing him. At least as of now, that's their idea, is to let him roam free.
I think
so
that's
if
great.
the Central Park Zoo can do it,
Mhm.
why can't the St. Louis Zoo?
Do you see any difference between an owl and a bear?
Feathers?
Yeah. I think it's a fair point, Ranj.
Feathers and the beak. Bears don't have beaks.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, who disagrees with this?
Nobody.
If you disagree, let me know. 314-436-7900. Give me one good reason Ben the bear should not be allowed to roam free.
All right. Did you see this? The U.S. Department of Defense found out they had an exposed server last week, and it was spilling internal U.S. military emails into
I knew an
the...
exposed server. He got arrested.
Oh, my gosh. Were you the exposed server?
No.
Oh.
I've never been arrested.
That was spilling internal U.S. military emails to the open internet for the past 2 weeks. So the server, it didn't have classified emails, but it had sensified.
Let's get sensified. How about you and me?
Sensitive, but
Oh,
unclassified government data. And it was just spilling out 3 terabytes of internal military emails. And so you didn't need a password or anything. You could see the U.S. Special Operations Command. That's the U.S. military unit tasked with conducting special military operations. There you could see their emails just spilling out into the internet. But they've since closed it off. It's unexposed now.
Let me ask you this question,
Sure.
and it's just because I don't know. It would seem like this is a security problem. Yes.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like it's a bad thing. Apparently, you just had to know where to find it and you could access all of those emails. I just pictured like a faucet being turned on or a pipe breaking and it's just spilling out all those emails. But they fixed it now. We're all good.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not great.
Did you see this?
I don't know.
This is from Japan's national daily newspaper since 1922, 101 years old. So we all know about Japan's increasing, or I should say decreasing marriage rates and birth rates, right? It's an aging population, but a lot of countries are, you see it in the Nordic countries, we've seen it in the US. Well, there was a parliamentary, I guess you would say, official his theory was that the birth rate is declining because people don't know how to be romantic anymore.
I saw this.
He said the romantic ability
Yes.
of modern generations is down.
Yeah.
And he said our population doesn't have romantic ability. To be fair, he, quote, did not state specifically what romantic ability is.
Wait, was this, maybe I'm thinking of something else, because this was the same guy who said that the online dating forum is unfair to men.
Oh, I don't know
Okay,
if
this
that's
okay,
the
this
same
might
one.
be
I didn't
different
see
then.
that.
Never mind.
Yeah. So I think maybe, people need to work on sexy time.
Well, I could not agree more. But there was a guy, I can't remember who it is now. I just saw, I think he was on Real Time, and I only saw this clip of him saying that the dating apps are unfair.
Yeah.
Because men can't be in the room with women when they meet and can't give off pheromones. And that women, when they're on the dating apps, they're only interested, like if there are 100 men, they're only interested in 4 of them. So only 4 guys are getting swiped right, or is it swiped?
Yeah.
What's the bad one?
I don't know.
I don't know. But
They're
it
getting
was just it was really ridiculous.
Well, we could all work on
I'm
sexy
gonna-
time, I guess.
Let's swipe left on this hour. We got hour 2 of the show up next on KMOX.
Hi, this is Brian with Velocity Home Buyers, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 314-782-5555. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition and any price range in the St. Louis area. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that needs updating, but you don't have the time or money for it? Great, because I love buying outdated houses. I buy vacant houses, behind on taxes houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 314-782-5555. That's 314-782-5555.
Did you know the IRS is a super creditor? Hi, I'm Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. The IRS is the only creditor that can create a bill for you without your permission, then drop the hammer and aggressively collect it by wiping out your bank account, seizing your assets, and levying your wages. No other creditor can do that, and this can all happen without a court approval. If you owe back taxes, you need to be prepared to face the super creditor. Don't just sit back and take it. Fight back. At the Lance Drury Law Firm, we know how to use the laws to your advantage and go toe-to-toe with the IRS. Our office is located right here in St. Louis. Contact the Lance Drury Law Firm today for a free consultation with me, or visit us at lancedrurylaw.com or call 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120 to get started.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
KMOX, KECK HD2, K254CR, St. Louis.
The home of the Cardinals, KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Declare financial freedom from car payments in 3 easy steps. 1. Visit Genesis of St. Charles during our amazing Payment Freedom event. 2. Choose your favorite new ride. 3. Drive payment-free until summer 2023. Make no payments until summer 2023 at Genesis of St. Charles. Genesis of St. Charles, located in the St. Charles Hyundai building, located a quarter-mile east of Mid-Rivers Mall Drive off I-70, or visit online at genesisofstcharles.com. Interest, if any, accrues during the deferral period, expires 2/28/23.
Tom Ackerman for Building Community with Busey Bank, a podcast series easily accessible at KMOX.com/community banking. Our goal is to bring awareness to local organizations and share how they're bettering our community. This month, Muriel Smith, Executive Director of the St. Louis Area Diaper Bank, joined Jeff Burgess, President of Busey Wealth Management, and I to discuss the need for diapers and period supplies. Listen to Building Community with Busey Bank at KMOX.com/community banking.
Mid-America's most trusted source for news. KMOX.
At 11 o'clock, it's a cloudy sky, 49 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun. Our top story this hour. Arguments before the Supreme Court are ongoing over President Biden's school loan forgiveness program.
6 states, including Nebraska, argue that the Biden administration violated its executive authority. Nebraska Solicitor General James Campbell told the court,
"No statute authorizes this sweeping action."
But the Department of Justice argues that the states had no right to sue in the first place. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson noted the political significance of this case, questioning whether it could lead to the inability of the federal government to operate. Allison Keyes, CBS News.
The term traffic violence is being used more these days. Corporal Logan Bolton with the Missouri Highway Patrol says pretty much everyone is speeding, plus
trying to do all these things, speed, unsafe lane change, following too close, while also being on their phone at the same time.
Bolton says speed is the #1 contributor to traffic fatalities. He was a guest on Total Information AM. Local attorney Gerald Christmas says the case against Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner appears political to him.
I don't like the fact that the AG is he's a partisan appointee. He has not been elected by the people. The judge that's assigned to the case is the newest judge on the Court of Appeals, and he's also a partisan appointee. I don't like the politics of it.
Attorney General Andrew Bailey, who started the process to have her removed, is a Republican, while Gardner is a Democrat. However, Bailey says he filed suit under statutory authority. China says it's been open and transparent in the search for the origin of COVID-19.
COVID-19 has killed almost 7 million people worldwide, but we still don't know exactly how it started. That question's gotten new attention, and now an angry China is pushing back against any talk that the pandemic likely began there in a leak from a lab. The U.S. Department of Energy concluded that, although with low confidence, according to a classified report, U.S. officials and members of Congress say China has not been entirely cooperative in the search for the origins of COVID. Beijing is now saying politicizing the issue of virus tracing will not smear China, but will only damage the U.S.'s own credibility. I'm Rita Foley.
The White House told all federal workers they have 30 days to stop using TikTok on government-issued devices. Congress approved the ban, arguing the Chinese-owned app is a security risk. Security from CrowdStrike. Chief Security Officer Sean Henry.
It's important to understand who the adversaries are, what their objectives are, and the many different techniques they'll use to achieve their objectives. This is one of those ways.
The KMOX Business Desk.
Target turned in a strong fourth quarter performance, but offered a cautious financial forecast for the year. The company faces a long road ahead in its push to rebuild profits after a bonanza early on in the pandemic. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
The Dow from Stifel's down 167 points to 32,721. Stalled vehicle 270 south at Dorset right shoulder. Stalled 55 south at 141 on the right shoulder.
KMOX AccuWeather, mostly sunny, nice for the afternoon. High 60, upper 40s tonight, and then warming to almost 70 tomorrow. It's cooler in the low to mid 50s Thursday, and then rain, which could be heavy enough to cause some flooding, could mix with and change over to some snow later Friday. With AccuWeather, I'm meteorologist Dean DeVore in the voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
We've got clouds, 48 in Florissant, 51 St. Peters, and 49 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Amy Marks, Kors, and Chris Ranji on the show on KMOX. Your text messages, phone calls, all welcome, 314-436-7900. You know the voicemail line too, don't you? That is 314-944-1120. And of course, you're going to want to listen on the Odyssey app. Download it, get the podcasts, and whenever you miss something, which you should be listening to all 3 hours of this show, then you can go get the Odyssey app if you didn't listen to it live. If you're not doing your job of listening to the show.
Right. I mean, listen to it live. Listen to it at 98.7 FM. It's so crystal clear. There's
great.
Also a podcast, so you can catch up.
Consider listening to the show on KMOX, your unpaid internship.
Oh, that's a great idea.
It's only 3 hours.
There's nothing better than positing your show as some type of chore.
You're learning a lot, though.
Yeah.
You're gaining a skill.
Yeah.
Everybody loves an internship.
Yeah. As our boss always says, it doesn't matter if you're entertaining.
That's correct.
Yeah.
When do we start? Right. All right, Amy.
Speaking of entertainment,
hey,
Ron.
No, real quick.
Okay.
Because I posited the idea that we should. Did you just use the word posit?
Yeah.
Because that's what it was in my head, and I just used it.
I know. I thought,
I stole it from you.
Yeah.
I asked the question, I said, give me one good reason that Ben the bear should not be allowed to roam free
Oh, yeah, you did.
in the zoo. And this texter says, well, a loose bear might attack, maul, and kill me. That's pretty good.
Okay. You know what? That's a good reason.
Didn't even think about that.
I know. Okay, that's fair. Fine.
Oh.
So there's one.
Yeah, and here's another one.
Oh, great.
Maybe that bear was just searching for his pawpaw.
That's a horrible text. We're not going to read texts like that. You've
I'm
said
not
it before.
I keep telling people not to send texts like that.
Because we're not going to read them. They're not going to get airtime.
I'm not giving them airtime. Another texter says, #free Ben. I tried to start that one last week. Didn't pick up any steam.
You know, I did hear you did a great job with the STL City radio broadcasters.
Oh, yeah. Joey Zanaboni and
Mhm.
Dale Shilley.
They did a play-by-play of Ben the Bear
They
escaping the zoo.
did. They did. And I think, I don't know, maybe this will pick up some traction at some
Mhm.
point, but I think Ben absolutely deserves to have his freedom. You get out of your enclosure twice, man, that's an accomplishment, and you should be celebrated.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the old gladiators. You win enough of those battles, they just let you be free. Because before that, you were a slave.
How many did you have to win?
I don't know.
Was it like a punch card?
I don't know. I've seen a movie about it, and the guy says, win the crowd and you'll win your freedom.
Was that the movie Gladiator?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
that was the one.
Yeah.
Russell Crowe, by the way,
hmm
he's aged.
Yeah. Didn't he have some scandal around him? I'm not great with Hollywood, but I thought he was kind of a controversial figure.
It sounds like it. Speaking of gladiator type people,
hmm
I was watching this movie the other day with Gerard Butler, who, what's the name of the movie? Oh, Last Seen Alive, where he's on the way to his wife's house or his wife's parents' house. They stop at a gas station. They are in the process of splitting up, but it seems amicable.
Okay.
And she goes in while he fills up the tank, and then she never comes back out.
Hmm.
And then he's looking for her and whatever. And it was kind of bad. It wasn't a great movie. And I thought, why isn't Gerard Butler, like, he should be in nothing but bangers. He should be in nothing but great movies. He was in 300, which was awesome. And I'm sure you've never seen 300.
Another gladiator-esque movie.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So he was in that movie about the Spartans, and he was incredible. I believe he won an Oscar too.
Mhm.
And all of his movies kind of stink.
Yeah.
Like, why is he not in just great movies all the time? I don't get it.
I don't know what to tell you. I don't have an answer to that, Ranj.
Speaking of the entertainment business, as you mentioned
Mhm.
earlier, in the depositions, in all of the discovery about the Fox News Dominion voting systems
Yeah.
case, just a lot of really interesting developments. I don't know if they're interesting as much as they are kind of depressing in a way, Amy, but we did hear last week that, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, that hosts like Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham in private amongst each other via text message were openly saying that all this election denying nonsense is just that. It's nonsense. But then they would go on the air and they would do the exact opposite thing.
Yeah.
Well, now we have Rupert Murdoch, who is in charge of the entire operation, also openly admitting to the very same thing.
Yeah. And so these statements from Rupert Murdoch were acknowledged in a deposition. Of course, this from Dominion's $1.6 billion defamation lawsuit against Fox News. And Murdoch acknowledged in the deposition that his hosts, several of the Fox primetime hosts, knowingly promoted false narratives regarding the stolen election. Rupert Murdoch had the ability to stop them from pushing that narrative, but he didn't. The New York Times used a phrase that I think is exactly what it was. Quote, reckless pursuit of ratings and profit. That's what it was. It was a reckless pursuit of ratings and profit, even though there are statements from Fox News hosts responding to the allegations against the Dominion voting system, specifically that voting machines run a secret algorithm that can switch votes, or that Dominion was founded in Venezuela to help Hugo Chavez fix elections. They responded to those with, quote, incredulity bordering on contempt. They knew they were false. Janine Pirro, the Fox host, she bragged that Sidney Powell was getting her information from her. They were shaping the story. They were manipulating the story that they were covering as they, quote unquote, covered it. Paul Ryan, who was on a board with Fox, he, you remember him running the presidential election, vice president. Yep. He urged Fox to stop spreading lies and conspiracy theories. And what's interesting is how Fox will fare in court, because the Fox defense, Fox lawyers are saying, well, the hosts didn't endorse these ideas and conspiracy theories. They said that the allegations are allegations, and then the hosts commented on the allegations. But again, the hosts knew what they were doing, and there were times when, for instance, Sean Hannity was talking about the allegations as if they were hard and fast truth. Right. He said that we could never know. We'll never know if the election was fair. We'll never know the real results. That's spewing conspiracy theories as if they're fact.
Yeah, and you mentioned that a lot of this was for, this really was about the profit, and Dominion lawyers in the deposition, they talked about Mike Lindell, who is the MyPillow guy, and he's out there. I mean, that dude's really out there. And he said to Murdoch, or the attorneys said to Murdoch in the deposition, you could stop taking money from him, correct? And he said, yes, but I'm not about to. The Dominion lawyer says, so it's not red or blue, it's green, meaning it's all about the money. And Murdoch agreed to that statement. Yeah. And what I think is bothersome, I mean, a lot of things about this that are bothersome to me, but the lack of respect and the disdain that Fox has for its own viewers.
Yes.
Like, you don't trust Fox viewers to formulate their own opinions. Like, you don't trust them to give them actual facts and let them. And remember, they used to say, you know, we're just giving the facts and you decide. We report, you decide. Do that. Like, do that for real. Do that with real facts and let your viewers decide what is good and what isn't.
Because it's about money. It's not so much that Fox didn't trust its viewers. It's Fox exploited its viewers. It exploited
it's contempt for them.
Yes, it knew that the lies that it was spreading, that those lies were false, but that their eyeballs, the audience, would eat it up. And here's another thing. Fox had to pivot and become even more conspiratorial after it was the first to call Arizona for Joe Biden. Yep. During the 2020 election, Fox called Arizona for Joe Biden on their network, and viewers turned away. It's not what they wanted. So Fox gave the people what they wanted and then exploited those fears and distrust of the media. And it's sickening. Like, how can you live with yourself knowing that people, I mean, January 6th, going to prison, people died because of these conspiracy theories. You're dividing the country. Like, how myopic and profoundly selfish do you have to be?
And by the way, it's not just division. It's intentional division. Yeah. It's not just we've done this and accidentally, as a result of what we broadcast, we've made this happen. That stuff is intentional. Like, I don't understand why that is appealing to people. I understand why they do it. I understand why Fox does it and why Rupert Murdoch does it. And there are a couple of different reasons. I know that he's saying it's more about money than anything else. And I think money is a lot to do with it, but it's also ideology. It's the ideology that Roger Ailes set out to do years ago when he wrote down on paper that he wanted to make something like this back in the 70s. He was talking about this. So this isn't just a consequence. This is the intent. And I think it's probably gone too far to the right. and it's probably gotten way out of control. And I wonder in some respects if at least some of the people involved in the operation feel like it's gotten away from them over the years.
I mean, I would think so. But again, how is it still ideology and not just greed and exploitation if the very hosts spreading the lies don't even believe them? Wouldn't it be more ideology if like Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity actually believed the election was stolen?
And I don't know what's in their
don't.
hearts. I don't know what they truly believe deep down. I mean, you got a little bit of a window there with
Yeah.
these text messages.
We know that they were texting the president on January 6th saying,
Right.
you need to stop this.
Right.
And we also know that it was very odd how much influence Fox hosts had with the highest ranking officials in the Trump administration, including Trump himself.
That should bother a lot of people. That should bother all of us. And I don't think it does. I think it bothers 60% of us, maybe 70%.
And
But there's a really large portion of the population that will either just flat ignore all of those things
Mhm.
or deny it or say that it's a witch hunt, even though the evidence is right there in front of you and it's clear and it is not made up. This is stuff, these are depositions. These are not facts that are being pulled out of thin air.
And it bothers me as a conservative and a historical Republican because let's say you're a Republican or conservative and you don't think very highly of progressives. And you say, yeah, it's a joke. MSNBC is a joke. You don't like Rachel Maddow. You don't like Joy Reid. And you feel like, well, they're not even saying facts. It's just opinions to get their base riled up. Aren't you upset that Fox was doing this and exploiting the more conservative side and making a joke out of conservatives?
Yeah, and I agree with you on that. For me, I don't believe MSNBC has the influence that Fox News has had over the last 20
No, I don't
plus
think
years.
so either.
I don't even think it's close. I think they
No,
try.
it's not close.
I think that network really does try to, well, here's this right-wing network that has a clear intention of what they're attempting to do. Let's be the other end, counterbalance to that. I think that's a clear direction they have, but I don't think it has near the influence.
It's because Fox is a monolith in a way that the other media outlets aren't, because again, it's easy to read or watch a media outlet and kind of you can tell where maybe they lean. Maybe it's outright because it's the editorial board, right? Making a statement. We know the Wall Street Journal is conservative, but if you look at MSNBC, CNN, CNBC, you look at ABC, NBC, CBS, some are more, moderate than others, but tends to be in legacy media outlets, the New York Times, a left lean. Fine. That's fine. But because of that, Fox is able to throw around its weight in a way that every other major media outlet cannot. It's a monolith. It's giant. It's always the number one news network.
Let's just put it this way. And I know this is anecdotal and this is my personal experience. If you go to a public place that has televisions on, like in a doctor's waiting room or in a hotel lobby or something like that, and a news network is on, it's almost, in my experience, it's almost either Fox News or CNN.
Yeah.
I almost never see MSNBC on anybody's
No.
TV.
The airport's always CNN.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe they have a deal. I think they might have a deal. Like an airport
deal?
CNN. Yeah. Like I feel like, where did I hear that? Like where it's a
Really?
thing. I'll have to look it up. It's
That's
not in a
interesting.
disparaging way. Just I think airports, why do they always play CNN? And then if you go to hotels, depending on how cosmopolitan the city is, like if it's like maybe you're in London or maybe New York, a lot of BBC.
BBC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I always feel very cool.
When you see BBC,
Yeah. Like I would run on the treadmill and be like, I watched BBC this morning.
that's cool. I'm a real hipster. I go CBC, the Canadian broadcasters.
Oh, that is more hipster, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I
no,
love the
BBC always
Canadians.
makes me feel worldly. And I'm like, oh, I watched BBC this morning.
Say it with a British accent, and I'll really believe you.
Hello.
Okay, not that one. What are you, a chimney sweep? All right. That's Amy Marks Coors. I'm Chris Ranji. 314-436-7900. Almost forgot the phone number. You're listening to KMOX.
For everything online, it's Odyssey.com. Download the Odyssey app and listen to The Dave Glover Show and all the news, talk, sports, and podcasts that move you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Did you know that St. Louis composting is open all year long? It may be winter, but it's the perfect time to start planning for next spring's bountiful garden and lawn. For more information, visit stlcompost.com.
Men, if you're struggling with erectile dysfunction or PE and frustrated taking pills that don't work, Paramount Men's Medical Center offers breakthrough medical treatments that effectively treat your problem. 98% of patients experience immediate results during their first office visit. And for a limited time, your initial consultation and first treatment are completely free. Listen to a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Brown. The physicians at Paramount Men's Medical Center offer the most advanced treatments that eliminate ED and PE. Now men are lasting 30, 60, 90 minutes or longer, regardless of age or medical history.
Guys, to eliminate your frustration in the bedroom, call Paramount Men's Medical Center now to take advantage of this exclusive limited-time offer. Your initial consultation and first treatment are totally free, and you'll see instant results right in the office. Call now, 314-720-8081. 314-720-8081. That's 314-720-8081.
What if you ordered a pizza, but when you opened the box, a couple pieces were missing? That would be upsetting, right? Now think about how much money you believe you have saved for retirement. Do you still owe taxes on that money? If you do, that could take a big bite out of your nest egg. Ken and Lori Heisey and their team at Heisey Advisory Group understand the importance of tax planning and can help reduce the impact that Uncle Sam has on your retirement. Give them a call today to start working on your retirement tax plan. 314-328-4400. That's 314-328-4400. Now may be a great time to lower your future tax liability. Create a retirement plan today so that you can get as many slices of your retirement pie as possible. Call Ken and Lori Heisey at Heisey Advisory Group at 314-328-4400 today and schedule your visit. That's 314-328-4400. Firm cannot give tax advice. Investment advisory products and services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor, and Pine Ridge Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor. AEWM and Pine Ridge Advisors, LLC are not affiliated companies.
When you hire your local CertaPro painters, you get the power of doing it right. Detailed project proposals, excellent customer service, and trusted professionals who get the job done on time and on budget. The power of experience. We're kings of the scaffolding and pros with the stucco. We've been there, done that. Get your project started at CertaPro.com and get the power of pro.
Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated.
Local news and information direct to your smart speaker. Just say, play KMOX.
If you live in or around Metropolis, Illinois, we need visual confirmation from you that the Superman statue's head has been blown off by the wind.
Hold on, I'm looking.
There are reports. There are conflicting reports, unconfirmed, that the Superman head has blown right off its body.
Okay, I'm trying to find the website because it's going viral. Oh, okay, this is saying it's a hoax, even though it was posted by the Metropolis, Illinois News that had 4,500 followers on Facebook.
Oh, man. Well,
maybe
somebody needs to, if you're in Metropolis, Illinois or nearby, please take a photo and then send it to us on Twitter at the show KMOX.
Here we go.
We just want to make sure it's okay.
Metropolis, Illinois News is a local satire page someone made.
Oh.
Quote, just for
That's
jokes.
A bummer.
This is so sad. I mean, it's not sad. but it's kind of funny.
That could have been a great story.
We
Like, how
got-
would the head just fly
I got
off?
onioned.
You
I
did
guess
get
I wasn't
onioned.
familiar with Metropolis, Illinois news.
Text messages. This one from a 989. Hello, Lower Peninsula, Michigan. That's where the thumb is. It says, you both should watch The Loudest Voice on Showtime about the life of Roger Ailes. Is that new? I have heard of that. But the Roger Ailes thing it's interesting. It's fascinating how he had this ideology and he's had it for decades and wanted to implement it. And they've done it very successfully. Fox News has been incredibly successful in its operation. I would argue that it's not to our benefit as a country, but for them, it has been very lucrative.
314-436-7900 if you want to call or text in on this issue or any issue, really. Yeah, I mean, you look at Fox News, and Chris Wallace has left Fox News, but he did a really good job. I liked Chris Wallace on Fox. I know that regular contributors to Fox News also left during all the turmoil regarding the election fraud theories, conspiracies.
Did Shepard Smith leave before or during? I can't
That's a
recall.
good question. Jonah Goldberg left. Stephen Hayes left because they felt they were trying to bring truth and a steady voice to the network, but at some point they felt we just can't be contributors to Fox because at this point that you feel complicit because you're trying to be a voice of reason, but if you're a 1% voice of reason among 99% conspiracy theories, you might feel an obligation to leave. But yeah,
and you are talking about conservatives. Let's make that clear. Jonah
Oh.
Goldberg absolutely is a conservative.
Stephen Hayes, very much so. Yes. And so they have the Dispatch, which is they started their own conservative leaning media outlet. Their whole thing is that they're the opposite of hot takes. They don't do hot takes. So you're not going to see from the Dispatch breaking news that happened this afternoon and then 2 hours later all of these thoughts on what exactly happened. They do their research, they look at the facts, and they have slow takes.
Let's take a very quick phone call here. Jimmy is in Valley Park and is with us on KMOX.
How you doing?
Good, Jimmy. What's up?
Okay, it's not. You kind of upset me because you're acting like the Fox News is the only one that ever spreaded something that wasn't true. What about the Russian hoax? I'm so fed up with the news media creating problems, okay? If you really want to know the truth, I do think the election was kind of like a little tainted. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. The bottom line is, how do you like life now? How do you like downtown St. Louis not being able to get anybody with George Soros's money? Okay? So you want to live your lies and you want to say what you want to say. The bottom line is look at what's going on. Quit tainting it and just look at what's going on.
Jimmy, appreciate the phone call. Joe Biden is not the mayor of St. Louis. Yeah, I mean, I in no way was the election tainted unless you watched a network that told you it was over and over and over and over and over again.
And I will
That's
say,
it.
yeah, the Russian hoax was a shame. I mean, Adam Schiff pushed the collusion.
But there was Russian interference. We know that for a fact. I mean, you can argue about just how much there was complicity as it pertains to the president or his people, but there was absolutely Russian interference. That is not in dispute.
But I'm going to acknowledge the collusion narrative was not true. And I'll acknowledge that. But Fox pushed election lies heavily day in and day out.
Let's talk to somebody from the Community Justice Coalition. Held a rally downtown. We will find out exactly what was going on there. That's next on KMOX.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
With one of the best savings rates in America, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Even easier than choosing Slash to be in your band.
Next up for lead guitar.
You're in.
Cool. Yep, even easier than that. And with no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, is it even a decision? That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
At 11:30, clouds and 49 degrees downtown at the Arch. The Supreme Court is about to hear arguments over President Biden's student debt relief plan. It's a plan that impacts millions of borrowers who could see their loans wiped away or reduced. Nissan is recalling more than 800,000 SUVs because the key can accidentally turn and shut off the vehicle while it's being driven. WWJ's Jeff Gilbert has more on the potentially dangerous sudden stops.
Not only would that cause the engine to lose power, it would make the airbags inoperable in a crash. Nissan has no reports of crashes or injuries in the Rogues and the Rogue Sports over several model years. Nissan says until it can come up with a fix, owners should not put anything extra on their keychains.
Debris on 270 north at 55, left lane closed this afternoon, high about 60. Tonight, the low 47 degrees. At the moment, it's cloudy and 47 downtown at the Arch. And the weather sponsored by Champion Floors. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Champion Floor Company is known for their customer service. It's a big reason why they've been serving the community for 34 years. If you're looking to replace your flooring, schedule an appointment at championfloor.com. Champion Floor, delivering excellence every day.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com. Broadcasting from the Underlaw Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX. Don't worry, you didn't miss a thing. The amazing Payment Freedom event is back at St. Charles Nissan. All you need to do is head to St. Charles Nissan, choose your favorite new ride, and then drive payment free until the summer of 2023. That's right, you make no car payments until summer 2023 at St. Charles Nissan, conveniently located a quarter-mile east of Mid-Rivers Mall Drive off I-70, or you can visit online at stcharlesnissan.com. Interest, if any, accrues during the deferral period, expires 2/28/23.
Spark Co-working St. Louis is a new collaborative workspace located within the PwC Pennant Building in Ballpark Village. The Spark Co-working community supports the thriving St. Louis entrepreneurial ecosystem, where you can live, work, and watch the Cardinals play all within one district. The all-inclusive workspace includes furnished month-to-month offices and suites with stadium, city, and arch views, concierge mail service, nitro cold brew coffee on tap, and so much more. Call 314-278-5297 or visit spark-stl.com.
It's men's Billikens basketball action tonight as they take on VCU. Hear the game here. Pregame 5:47. Tip at 6 on your home for Billikens basketball. KMOX.
It's the show on KMOX. Amy Marks Kors and Chris Ranji. We are here until 1 o'clock. Then the Dave Glover show takes over. We spend the 1 o'clock hour with Dave and Kevin and Rachel and Andrew. That happens every day here on KMOX. Kim Gardner, the circuit attorney for the city of St. Louis, has been under a lot of fire. Really for quite some time, but especially since the accident that ended up with the amputation of Janae Edmondson's legs, who was in town from Tennessee. You all know the story there, that tragic story that happened a couple of weeks ago in downtown St. Louis. And a rally, a press conference and a rally was held today in her defense. The Community Justice Coalition holding that in front of the Carnahan Courthouse. Zaki Baroudi is with the Community Justice Coalition and joins us this morning on KMOX. We appreciate you being with us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, and thank you for inviting me to be on part of your program.
Sure. And so let's start with the purpose. We know that this was in defense of Kim Gardner. What is your position on the entire situation?
First of all, we stand, the Community Justice Coalition, stand in complete solidarity with the office of Kim Gardner. We feel that this attack is based on a number of factors that should not be occurring. Factor number one is that as a new progressive black elected official. In 2016, her position was to have criminal justice reform. And to that end, she's been making every effort to make that occur. However, she has the audacity, and she's under attack, in our opinion, for a number of reasons. Number one, she has the audacity to investigate and probe the ideal of the former governor, Eric Greitens, being charged. Eventually, as you know, he had to resign from the office of the governorship. And we feel those who were supportive of him have continuously pushed for taking her out of office. She also came into office with an agenda where she was going to reform the penalties afforded to first-time nonviolent offenders instead of just incarcerating, because, as you know, the incarceration of Black people in our community is off the chart. And to give folks a second chance for nonviolent offenses. She also had the audacity to create an exclusive list of those officers who have had a history of lying and not turning in evidence as they should. So that caused the St. Louis Police Association to go after her. And then finally, she worked to create the exoneration of Lamar Johnson, who, under previous Circuit Attorney administration, I believe D. George Hayes had falsely charged and eventually convicted Lamar Johnson, sentenced him to 28 years, and she was able to reverse that. So there are those powerful, rich people in the St. Louis area that just don't want her to be effective. And sadly to say, they used the tragic incident involving, as you mentioned, Janae Edmondson as a red herring to unprecedented assault her office. And using the claim that she had not sought the revocation of his bond. I'm talking about the young man who caused the amputation and the injury of the young lady, Miss Emerson, who, by the way, we offer our deepest sympathy and pray that she gets well. That it was, in fact, a judge, and that was part of our conference, was to call out Judge Brian Hettenbach, who knew about Daniel Riley and his violations of being on bond, yet did not revoke his bond. So those are the combination of facts that we wanted to make sure that the public was aware per our press conference. And finally, which should be the end of the story, Terry Niehoff, who was the attorney representing Daniel Riley, stated in the St. Louis Criminal Justice blog that was quoted extensively in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch that Kim Gardner had did nothing. And he went on to make a statement that he was there when she was seeking to revoke the bond for the young man who, as I mentioned, caused the injury to Miss Edmondson.
Well, and let's go back through some of those things, because she does have those who initially supported her, who have left her office either because of dysfunction or feeling that even the more progressive agenda isn't being accomplished. There were those who wanted Governor Greitens. You started with that. Let's go back to that. They wanted him to face stiffer penalties, but she did lie in those court proceedings and purposefully withheld evidence from the defense, which allowed him to face not the penalties that he otherwise would have faced. So on that side, there was both Democrats and Republicans who wanted her to prosecute Greitens and wanted him to face penalties, and she failed in that instance.
Well, there was 2 points in terms of your statement. Point number one was in terms of people leaving her office. As we stated at our press conference, too many times we call it white flight from her office, because as the first Black elected official in that particular position. We feel that many of the people who were in the office fled her office because of not wanting to work under the direction of a strong Black woman. And as relates to the governorship, by her initially pushing to charge him, it eventually led to his downfall as relates to him having to step down. And if she had not initiated the beginning a criminal investigation, then that probably would not have occurred.
Zaki Baroudi, who is the chairman of the Community Justice Coalition, is visiting with us now. One of those people that we're talking about is Patrick Hummaker, who told us last week that he was excited about the idea of reform. He is a progressive attorney and was looking forward to working for Kim Gardner in her office, but said it was just once he got there, it was completely disorganized and too many things fell through the cracks. So is it possible that her ideology is good, that the idea of reform of the justice system is good, but maybe she in particular is not really up to that challenge? Is that possible?
Well, we actually feel that she is up to that challenge. And, you're basing a statement from one person who was, as you said, supposedly be in support of her. I can't speak to the differences as to, he cited why he had left, but there could have been other underlying reasons for him leaving. As you know, sometimes when you have employer and employee relationships that sour, there's a lot of other factors that may be thrown on the wall to defame the person whom they're working for.
And then going back to the Daniel Riley case, I know what the circuit attorney said with her statement regarding the prosecutors and saying, well, this is on the judge. Well, we do have the court documents which showed the prosecutors did not push back against the judge's decisions regarding bond or GPS monitoring, and that when the date did come for court, the defense was there, the victim was there, but the prosecutor was not there. And the office said, well, we thought the victim was dead. That seems to be disorganization at best and severe dysfunction at worst in that case.
Well, I could only, again, I'm going to quote the attorney for Daniel Riley, Mr. Terry Niehoff. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly, but he stated, and it was posted in the St. Louis Criminal Justice blog, Gardner's office did, in fact, bring to the court attention Riley's numerous bond violations. The prevailing sentiment that's being reported is that this accident could have been avoided if only Circuit Attorney's Office had done their job properly and filed a motion to revoke Riley's bond. But that's simply not true. And again, I'm quoting his attorney. In this particular case, when people are saying Gardner's office should have filed motions to have the bond revoked, her office did bring that up to the judge. I know because I was the lawyer on the case. I know it was reviewed by the judge. I know the judge, after reviewing all of it, decided that the violations, although numerous, were not serious enough to take him off bond. They could have filed motions every day. It would not have made any difference. Now, this is coming from the attorney, again, for the young man who caused the accident. So that should be the end of the story, because actually she did make an effort to revoke his license, which with the frenzy to assail her office, many folks failed to get the facts correct. And again, I'm quoting directly from his statement.
Why do you think, Mr. Baroudi, that the Mayor Jones, said Kim Gardner has lost the trust of the people?
Well, it's unfortunate that she would have made that statement. In fact, the Community Justice Coalition will be calling upon her to reevaluate her statement, because Kim Gardner has not lost the confidence of the people. I want to remind your listening audience that she was reelected in 2020 with over close to 70% of the vote total. So the process of trying to remove her is very hypocritical when people, the leading political office holders such as the governor and the Missouri Attorney General, who, by the way, it has not been elected, that the citizens of St. Louis feel that she has done a great job. And so the effort to remove her office, from starting with the Attorney General, who, as I just mentioned, has not been elected, is a method of really disenfranchising the voters of the city of St. Louis. In fact, historically here in the state of Missouri, with the Dred Scott decision that basically said that black people have no rights that would be respected by white people, that in essence what they're doing is really revisiting that as it relates to St. Louis being predominantly black, although there's a number of white people in the city, of disenfranchising our people and not respecting the rights of the citizens of St. Louis, the democratic rights.
Yeah.
So this is a form of, as we feel, disenfranchising the people.
Do you believe she would be reelected if an election were being held today on this Tuesday? Do you believe she would be reelected?
Absolutely.
Because it is fair to say that 2020 was the election.
If I may, in fact, challenge the Missouri General Assembly, the Attorney General, to advocate for a special election. And I most definitely would say that she would get at least 70% of the vote from the people that we've been talking with, because we're in the heart of the community. And the community is really outraged at what is taking place.
Zaki Baruti is the Community Justice Coalition chairman, taking the time to visit with us this morning on KMOX. We appreciate you doing that today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Again, Zaki Baruti, the Community Justice Coalition chairman, joining us this morning on 1120. I've said this before. I understand that it's an incredibly sensitive issue anytime it comes to a person who is black, who has been elected, and if you have people who feel like the person they have chosen that represents them is going to be removed, and the feeling is it is because she is black, I fully understand that. And I think that there are a lot of people who have a lot of pain that they have experienced over the course of their lives, and it's sort of manifesting in this. But again, I can't get past the reality that in this case, this specific case, she just does not appear to know what she's doing here.
She was elected in 2020. Absolutely.
And a lot of things have happened since
It's
then.
2023,
and
which
the pandemic
is
is not her fault, and a lot of things have been exacerbated because of the pandemic.
But that's the way the ball bounces in politics. It's tough being the circuit attorney. It just is. And you are going to have to answer for crime. That's the nature of the job. And 2023, it's 2023. That is long enough to lose public trust. It just is. And I also think it is important to note, I know that she has been a victim of racist comments.
Absolutely.
And we've seen them or heard them. And it's horrific. And it's sickening. But you also have to know that you can acknowledge two things are true. That one, there's some horrific people in this world who have levied gross comments in her direction. And also, she can be bad at this job. And they're not related.
You want to criticize Kim Gardner on merit, 100% you go right at her, because that's the job. You need to be held accountable in that way. But the other stuff, racist vitriol, whatever's being levied at her in her office, gross. It's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
But if you, again, criticize the person on merit, on the job that is being done, not on the other stuff, you're absolutely losing sight of the issue. Amy Marks Kors, Chris Ranji, this is the show on KMOX.
Let's face it, credit cards are pretty much a necessity.
New tires for the car? Here's my card.
I order takeout, here's my card. And most of us just accept the high interest rates credit cards charge as a necessary evil.
What are you going to do?
Get a low fixed rate credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream from $5,000 to $100,000 and pay off those credit card balances. Apply online and you could get your money as soon as the day you apply. The average credit card company charges over 19% APR. But with Lightstream, you can get a fixed rate as low as 7.99% APR with autopay and excellent credit.
Now I can pay off my high-interest credit cards and save money with a much lower rate.
Apply today at lightstream.com/radio and get an additional interest rate discount. That's lightstream.com/radio. Lightstream.com/radio.
Subject to credit approval. Rates range from 7.99% APR to 23.99% APR and include a 0.5% autopay discount. Lowest rate requires excellent credit. Terms and conditions apply and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/radio for more information.
Attention bourbon lovers, join us for a one-of-a-kind whiskey tasting event Thursday, March 2nd at the Clayton Wine House. Get ready for a night of sipping and savoring fine spirits. Samples from Redwood Empire, Old Dominic, New Riff, Green River, Garrison Brothers, Four Roses, Devil's River, and Oak and Eden. Plus, we'll enjoy Round Pond wine and appetizers. You don't want to miss this. Get your tickets now at 971talk.com/events. That's 971talk.com/events.
Overhead Door Company of St. Louis is hiring commercial and residential technicians and installers. Do you have a technical background? Are you mechanically and or electronically inclined? Overhead Door Company of St. Louis offers a paid training program, company vehicle that you take home, health benefits, competitive pay, starting bonus, and much more. Now hiring commercial and residential technicians. Go to overheaddoorsstlouis.com to learn more. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, the genuine, the original.
Tens of thousands affected by the toxic water at Camp Lejeune are left with death, cancer, Parkinson's, dementia, birth defects, and other serious illnesses. And along with the harm, so many worries.
My family drank the Camp Lejeune water. What if our health gets worse and we need more financial help?
How do I protect my VA benefits and get the compensation I deserve and need?
The answer is simple. Call James Harris Law, the experienced, trusted law firm that can get you significant compensation while protecting all your VA benefits. We're already fighting for hundreds of Marines, families, and civilians who drank Camp Lejeune water. But if you miss the deadline, you could forever lose your right to the justice you deserve. So call our Camp Lejeune legal helpline now. Now may be your last chance to receive full compensation. Don't delay. Call 800-337-6655. That's 800-337-6655. 800-337-6655.
Hi, it's Tom Ackerman for Ophthalmology Associates, 314-966-5000, 12990 Manchester Road, just a half mile west of 270. I was there this year for my annual eye health examination, and I'm so happy that I did. Not only is my vision in good shape, but now I have peace of mind that I have good health. You see, an eye health examination can detect many health issues like diabetes or high blood pressure, so it's nice to know that they were able to check me over. Also, it was covered by my medical insurance, and I did not realize that the first time that I went for an annual eye exam. So that's terrific. Doctors Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, and Andrew Royer, very thankful for them. Ophthalmology Associates, the doctors, 314-966-5000. You should also schedule your eye exam and reach out to them. And when you do, tell them that Tom Ackerman sent you to Ophthalmology Associates. Also online at youridoc.com.
Prepare an emergency kit, sign up for local alerts, and make a family communications plan. Get started today at ready.gov/plan. A public service message brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Back to the show.
Yeah, the show
on KMOX.
It is the show on KMOX. Amy Marks, Kors, and Chris Ranji with you. We just visited with Zaki Baruti, Community Justice Coalition in defense of Kim Gardner. We welcome your calls as well. 314-436-7900 in St. Louis. Robert is with us. Hello, Robert.
Hello, Chris and Amy. I'd just like to address three of the gentlemen's issues, okay? She came into office, established a list of officers she wouldn't prosecute anything they brought to her. Number one, it's not up to her to establish the list like that. It's up to a jury or a judge to weigh the credibility of witnesses. Plain and simple. That's first off. Second, on this most recent case where the young lady lost her legs, and it still chokes me up, by the way, she's offered many lies in her press conference. One of them was discovered by none other than John Hancock last Friday on the morning show when he says, Michael, guess what? December 12th, 2021 was on a Sunday. That was the specific date she used that she tried to have this bond revoked. Court doesn't go on a Sunday, as everybody knows. The third thing I like to address is the most recent thing with the gentleman who was exonerated of murder by a judge. She sat in a courtroom for 2 weeks on my tax dollar and every citizen in St. Louis's tax money. Her job is not to spring people that were duly convicted by a jury of their peers. I want to thank you guys for all your...
Oh, sorry. I accidentally cut Robert off. Didn't mean to. Thank you, Robert, for making the phone call. I mean, I don't think any of that stuff that we have been talking about is news. It's not a secret. I mean, we've discussed these things over and over again, and that's our objection with the whole situation too. I mean, we have similar objections to what's going on here, and all of us want it to be better, right? I mean, that's the whole point. We want this situation in St. Louis to improve. We'll talk to Kevin Killeen, who was at the Community Justice Coalition rally. He will visit with us next on KMOX.
Are you ready to smell better naked? I'm Dr. Shannon Klingman, the OBGYN creator of Lumi, the whole body deodorant that's clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours on pits, feet, privates, and beyond. It's pH optimized to safely and effectively control odor anywhere you have it, but wish you didn't. Plus, it's proven to work better than a shower with soap alone. Whether you shower twice a day or 3 times a week, Lumi works better. And did we mention it's aluminum free? With over 200,000 5-star reviews, I'm so sure you're going to love it, or you can return it for free.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code 903 and get an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack that comes with a solid stick, cream tube, free product of your choice, and ships free with code 903. LumeDeodorant.com, code 903 for an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack. Love it or return it for free. That's LumeDeodorant.com, code 903.
Hey guys, this month's DGS KMOX special with Zero Res is 3 rooms cleaned, starting at just $119 plus. They're throwing in a free hallway. Take $75 off your air duct cleaning for the month of February. 314-474-2020, ZeroResSTL.com.
Hi, this is Charlie Brennan. If you have a stone foundation in your basement that needs tuck pointing, now is a great time to get that taken care of by calling Morelli Tuck Pointing. What's tuck pointing? It's the removal of old mortar with the replacement of new mortar on a wall or a chimney. That mortar can become loose, missing, deeply eroded. And that's what happened last year at our house. As a result, water came into our home through the front room ceiling. The Morelli team tuck pointed and spot tuck pointed the outside wall in the chimney last August. Morelli then cleaned the job site, left the work area spotless. We could not have been happier with the work performed by the Morelli team. Morelli has won the Better Business Bureau's Torch Award and the Angie's List Super Service Award every year since 2005. Check out their reviews on the Google and Better Business Bureau websites for a free inspection and estimate. 314-645-1387, MorelliTuckPointing.com.
KMOX, KECK HD2, K254CR, St. Louis.
The voice of the Billikens, KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Hi, Kent Newbold for Newbold BMW. Your BMW is worth more than ever before, so don't trust your maintenance to a bunch of amateurs. Come see the factory-trained technicians at Newbold BMW in O'Fallon, Illinois, or at newboldbmw.com. You'll be sold on Newbold.
St. Louis Public Library wants to take you to prom. You can have an evening of fun reliving your favorite high school memories. Dig out your really great retro duds and join the library and me, Johnny Rabbit, for an evening of dancing and memory making while recognizing individuals making a difference in your community and celebrating Prom Magazine. Prom at SLPL is Friday, March 31st, 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. at Central Library, downtown St. Louis. Tickets are on sale now. Visit slpl.org for details.
Mid-America's most trusted source for news. KMOX.
At 12 noon, it's partly cloudy and 50 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun. Our top story this hour, a group of about 30 Kim Gardner supporters rally on the courthouse steps.
All of the people owe Kim Gardner public apology. Yes,
This is Kevin Killeen. Kim Gardner supporters say that those who are calling for her ouster owe her an apology. They say that she has been unfairly blamed for the accident that took the legs of the volleyball player. Her supporters say it was a judge, Judge Brian Hettenbach, who failed to revoke the bond. They say Gardner's office requested that the bond be revoked because that person was violating his home confinement. At the courthouse, Kevin Killeen, KMOX News.
During the pandemic, people driving empty roads began speeding, and Corporal Logan Bolton with the Missouri Highway Patrol says that didn't stop once traffic returned to normal.
We saw people start speeding. It became our number one contributing circumstance to our crashes and our fatal crashes.
He also says it exacerbates road rage.
Somebody speeding or whatever, making those lane changes, it's gonna make somebody else angry, which leads to more aggressive driving. So if you can keep yourself calm, if you're in that situation, you'll be better off.
Ukrainian tanks and soldiers train every day on the country's northeastern front as tensions rise.
The troops throw grenades and fire machine guns at targets, but it's only a drill. However, the sound of the real war rumbling just a short distance away underscores the high stakes in this part of Ukraine. Military officials say a much anticipated Russian offensive has already started, with fighting that could determine the next phase of this war. Observers say time is of the essence, so speed and cohesion is the goal of the exercises. Grueling artillery battles have stepped up in recent weeks in the vicinity of Kupiansk. The strategic town is on the eastern edge of Kharkiv province, by the banks of the Oskil River. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
The Supreme Court is hearing arguments over President Biden's plan to forgive student loan debt.
The plan makes more than 40 million people eligible for some level of debt forgiveness, and 20 million could have their debts erased entirely. The court is hearing two challenges to the plan, one by two students and a second by 6 Republican states. Among the issues for justices, whether those challenging the program have the right to sue, which includes showing that they are financially hurt by the plan. Allison Keyes, CBS News, Washington.
The KMOX Business Desk, how are home prices?
Higher mortgage rates weighing on home prices in December. Median U.S. home prices that month up 5.8% year over year, according to the S&P Case-Shiller Home Price Index. But that was the smallest increase since the summer of 2020. Prices now about 4.5% below their peak from last June. Tom Busby, Bloomberg Radio.
Down from Stiefels, down 93 points to 32,795. Stalled vehicle 6440 east at Prospect, right shoulder. Stall 70 west at 370. The right lane is closed.
Nice and mostly sunny, up to near 60 this afternoon. Upper 40s rising tonight, and then up to 65 to 70, even warmer tomorrow. But cooler, dry Thursday, low to mid 50s, and then looks like very heavy rain and some thunder Thursday night into Friday that could end with some snow. With AccuWeather, I'm meteorologist Steve DeVore, the voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
50 in Florissant, 52 in St. Peters, and 50 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Kevin Killeen just asked a very important question as he sits down to speak with us here on KMOX. Amy Marks, Kors, and Chris Ranji. He says, what's making you guys happy today? And
we said
you coming in here.
Yeah, right. That sounds like a Hallmark card.
I know.
Doesn't it?
You know what makes me happy is it's over. This battle with winter. Winter is in desperate retreat. You see the little green shoots of the tulips coming up at the foot of General Grant in front of City Hall. You know that statue over there?
Uh-huh.
And there's little sprigs on the trees and green sprigs and robins here and there. The desperate days of winter are over. This is the last day of February.
The coast to coast winter storm that's happening.
Well,
Doesn't affect us though, right?
We're a southern city.
We
are.
We have easy winters.
So here's the thing. I'm running the famous St. Patrick's Day Parade 5-mile run. And last year, when we should have been in the clear, it was like 12 degrees with 30-mile-an-hour Arctic winds. What about that?
Yeah. What about Saturday night with the opener, the first ever MLS game in St. Louis?
Yeah.
And it's going to be like
Snowy.
32 degrees.
Chance of snow, Kevin.
it's as my wife says, you get to a point though where spring and winter are doing the dance. And there's a fight
That's right.
going on to see who's going to win, and it's going to be spring.
It
So-
will eventually
I
it will
like
win.
that.
It always does. Now it'll be like 43 degrees at game time on Saturday. It'll be okay. Wear a coat.
Yeah.
St. Louisans are tough. All right. So, Kevin, you've been covering a lot of events. We just spent some time talking to Zaki Baroudi with the Community Justice Coalition. You were there at the rally.
Yeah, it was a rally of Kim Gardner supporters, and there's about 30 of them. I counted them because one of the things I had in mind when I went to this is how big of a mass movement is this? I mean, how wide is it? What are their demographics? And I think the average age of the people on the steps in support of Kim Gardner, they look to be about 45 to 65. And I thought, we don't have any young Turks, anybody who's going to get out there and settle this in the street. And when you look at all the recent social movements like the Michael Brown protests or the Stockley protests, it's people, the spark plugs of history are people in their 20s and 30s. They know how to force social change. But today's Kim Gardner rally of her supporters, with all due respect to them and, not to, apart from their talking points, which we'll get into, it kind of seemed like a Beatles recreation band where you could tell the people are using Grecian formula and they play the right songs, but it just doesn't move you like the Beatles. And I thought the Kim Gardner supporters at this point, they are the sort of the retreads of the longstanding St. Louis civil rights community. These are all respectable brand names, but where are the young people? Because I think if you're going to say, this movement of her supporters is going to reverse the efforts to oust Kim Gardner, you got to have young people, and I didn't see that.
Well, Amy and I are going to talk about this. Hopefully we get to some of it at least today, but she and I went around the area and interviewed people about how much they're up on city politics and what they think of the city, the impressions of St. Louis. And I just don't know that young people even really are in tune with city politics.
Yeah, I don't know.
But that may be generally speaking, but certainly in St. Louis.
Yeah, but even when you had the protests with George Floyd, Michael Brown, as Kevin said, there were young people there. My goodness, you had high schoolers marching down the streets and in the county and St. Charles and on Clayton Road, all over. This felt stale. It felt very manufactured. The Mayor Jones had said Kim Gardner lost the trust of the people. And I know Kim Gardner's office is pushing back against that, but you didn't see the people really at her rally. You didn't see the citizens, all the different generations. You saw what felt like a very inorganic, put together group of supporters.
Yeah, these are people that are very respectable leaders in the civil rights community, but they're kind of like me. I mean, they've been around a while. I mean, we need some people to replace the Colleen's of the world. But let me get into their talking points in all fairness. I thought the most important thing that they said at the rally was that Kim Gardner has now presented evidence that she did, in fact, request to have the bond revoked for the man who would go on to be the accused reckless driver in the volleyball tragedy. And that they're blaming it on the judge. The judge didn't revoke the bond at that time. And we don't know about all this, or haven't up until now, because the first case was dropped because arguably Kim Gardner screwed up. She wasn't ready to go. So when they dropped the first case, all the records of whatever she did to say revoke the bond were closed to the public. But now, and they're supposed to send us this, they didn't have it at the press conference. They're supposed to send us proof that she did ask for the bond to be revoked. And others on the other side will say, well, that's just one incident. The volleyball case is just it's just the most recent and most egregious. But Kim Gardner supporters also said today, blame it on the police. There aren't enough police. In the olden days, the police would solve crime. And then they also blamed it on the media. They said, we haven't been fair. We reported the initial tragedy of the volleyball case, hook, line, and sinker, blaming it all on Kim Gardner without getting the facts. And this caused this groundswell to really get cracked down on her in the legislature.
Well, I guess there's just so many questions about the statements that her office is making, her supporters are making, saying, well, the facts are being twisted. You've got court documents. You've got the statements from the court. It's right there. It's very easily verifiable or disproved. With the police, I mean, that opens up a bunch of cans of worms when you're talking about police support in the city, funding the police, being 100 officers short, Kim Gardner having a list of police from whom she won't accept evidence, but it's not even an official Brady list because it's not made public. We don't know who is on that list. We don't know why they're on that list. There are far more questions than answers when it comes to Kim Gardner's office.
Well, to hear the supporters say she is the first person to come along, they said she's the best prosecutor St. Louis has ever had. She's being persecuted because she helped remove Governor Greitens, a corrupt governor, and because she has stood up for African Americans who in the past have been taken advantage of and mistreated by the police department. And, you point to the recent release of Lamar Johnson. She's been a champion for the people that are wrongly convicted. So she's a civil rights folk hero in their eyes, and they're saying, this is just all about get Kim. That's what it's all motivated by.
Well, the Lamar Johnson accomplishment is that. I mean, that should be celebrated, and it was. That was a great thing to do. I guess I question how much help she's really doing for everybody else, though. I'm talking about the community that she is there to support.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if there's real evidence of that. I've mentioned Patrick Homaker, who was with us, who is a progressive attorney. And he said that there's the ideal there, but there's no real plan. There's a progressive ideal that he agrees with, but she's not really made a plan that is implementing those things. I mean, again, she made the Johnson thing happen, and that is inarguably a good thing, but the body of work does not appear to be there.
And this could be where we get to see her body of work, because the special judge who was appointed yesterday ordered her to come up in 2 weeks with a pleading an answer to the case against her. And she may have to come up with a list of how many people have I helped get into the diversion program? What is my actual conviction rate? And if she can't come up with a good argument to show she's doing a good job, it could be the end of Kim Gardner.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've done this already, but I pushed back against the Greitens argument because there were people who wanted stiffer punishment for Eric Greitens, and she bungled that. She purposefully withheld evidence from the defense. We all know the controversy surrounding William Tisby. Kim Gardner was reprimanded and could have faced more punishment from the Missouri Supreme Court. They decided not to because of her actions and her misconduct in that case. So for me, I'm frustrated with the Greitens case because it should have been more, but she bungled it as a prosecutor.
Well, you can make that argument. She's a fascinating person, and we could thank the news gods that we don't have a prosecutor who is boring.
Well, you always have to have something to do. Hey, speaking of that, we had the incident yesterday.
This is so sad.
Yeah, a man was murdered right down the street from here, just a couple of blocks away.
Yeah, let me tell you about
this.
this.
Show started.
I saw the aftermath, and I just wanted to say this. Please don't turn this off because you say I've had enough murder for the day, because this is a different one. For the first time in my livelong days of working downtown, an execution-style murder, like something you'd see in a summary execution in a war zone, a gun to the head, took place in front of the old Globe Democrat building in daylight, with the man caught on videotape loading the gun and kind of fidgeting around for like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a
It wasn't quick.
It was cool deliberation, as they say in court cases. And so I started tweeting it around, and Twitter blocked me for it last night, saying that, it was gratuitous and gory. But the camera does pan away at the last minute before the man is actually shot. And I just thought that this is a threshold that's been crossed to have something like this happen downtown. That I don't know if it's related to Kim Gardner, or was this guy another one of hers who's out on bond, and we don't have no evidence of that. But those are the questions, is just this climate of you can do anything and think you can get away with it. And I'm hearing now that he did not get away with it, that a suspect has been caught and had something to do with a drug deal gone bad. But that's just a new low for downtown.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's what we heard. A man was shot. A body was found on the street in broad daylight, just down the street. And again, that there was a bullet hole in his forehead. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this happened in broad daylight. And it was worse than I even could have imagined, because as you said, the video shows the suspect in no hurry whatsoever.
It wasn't spontaneous.
It wasn't spontaneous. The victim, and maybe the victim looked to be compromised or on drugs or something, because he was just sitting on the curb, looked a little out of it. And the suspect, again, fidgeted with the gun, got it ready, and then just held out his arm and execution style just shot him in the head.
Yeah,
broad daylight. Like they weren't.
It was like
they
The
weren't
Irishman.
hiding.
Remember that movie where Robert De Niro was like the hitman?
I've seen it.
Shooting
It's
everybody.
about, isn't it about Hoffa?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, murders are supposed to happen in the quiet of night, in the dark shadows, and we don't get to see them. And we think, well, maybe it was an easy death. But we got to see the horrible suspense in this video of somebody whose doesn't know it, but his last seconds on earth are just playing out in front of us. And maybe he sat there compromised by drugs, but maybe he was thinking, well, I know he's not going to shoot me because it's broad daylight and I'm in downtown St. Louis. There's too many witnesses.
He almost seemed unaware the guy was standing over him. It looked to me like he just was not really aware of what was going on around him. But the shooter was standing there for a long time, certainly long enough to think, okay, I'm not going to do this right now. But he went ahead and did it. It wasn't like he just was walking down the street, walked up to him, and then popped and then walked off. That was as deliberate as anything I've ever seen.
So when you see this, and again, this happened at Tucker and Convention, you see what happened with Janae Edmondson, also downtown in the convention center area by Washington. Why would you plan a tournament here? Why would you plan your convention here? This is what you are seeing. And it's not that, well, it's misrepresented. No, all of this is happening. And it's not at 3:00 in the morning in a sketchy area. This is downtown, the heart of downtown, by the convention center, either in the evening, walking back from dinner, or just after breakfast in broad daylight. How can you tell people this is not what the city is?
Well, I agree with you, but some of the people I was interviewing right where the murder happened today, the day after, said, oh, I still feel safe. And, St. Louis is a great city. And it's just that, optimism that, it was an isolated event, that kind of talk. So
I don't know.
Who's right? Who's wrong?
I don't know. So anything good? No. Kevin Killeen, we appreciate you coming in. Thank you for the reporting.
Yeah, well, at least it's the last day of February.
It is. This is your
Is
month.
it?
This is his month to shine,
Oh, it is.
You love February. He's Kevin Killeen goes viral every February.
Because I do not love February.
Correct.
Yes.
February 29th is Superman's birthday.
Thank you, Amy.
It is.
That's Amy Marks Coors. Kevin, this is what I put up with.
What?
That's a great bit of trivia.
I know.
It really is.
Isn't it?
Have you got anything more on Superman?
No.
Well, it's a hoax. His head did not blow off.
All right.
Okay. That's Kevin Killeen, Amy Marks Coors, Chris Ranji, and the show.
Following Saturday's City SC home opener, it's the debut of Extra Time with Mr. Soccer Bill McDermott, live from the Pitch Athletic Club and Tavern. Enjoy warm food, a cold drink, and a St. Louis soccer conversation. That's Saturday immediately following the game, 10 till midnight on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
It's incredible. After using Babbel, I'm ready to start having real conversations in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
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 Babbel, évidemment. Go to babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Founded in 1898, McKelvey Homes is celebrating our 125th anniversary with $18,980 off every home and special financing on all move-in ready homes. Visit McKelveyhomes.com.
Did you know the IRS is a super creditor? Hi, I'm Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. The IRS is the only creditor that can create a bill for you without your permission, then drop the hammer and aggressively collect it by wiping out your bank account, seizing your assets, and levying your wages. No other creditor can do that, and this can all happen without a court approval. If you owe back taxes, you need to be prepared to face the super creditor. Don't just sit back and take it. Fight back. At the Lance Drury Law Firm, we know how to use the laws to your advantage and go toe-to-toe with the IRS. Our office is located right here in St. Louis. Contact the Lance Drury Law Firm today for a free consultation with me, or visit us at lancedrurylaw.com or call 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120 to get started.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Spring is the perfect time for a refresh. And at Ashley, you'll find the pieces you love. Shop now with financing options for every budget. Get 60 months no interest with no down payment. Ashley's biggest event of the year is going on now. Shop hot deals starting at $199. Plus, shop Ashley Sleep Doorbuster mattresses. Your choice Comfort Queen mattress, now only $399. Text 79975 to schedule your appointment today. The Orange event is happening now. In-store only at Ashley.
Rally House, shop every team in town. College and pro, come on, it's time to go.
It's kickoff time, St. Louis. Shop Rally House for the best selection of St. Louis City SC gear as your new team takes the pitch during their inaugural season.
Cardinals, Blues, Missouri State, Tigers, Billikens, don't be late. Rally House, Rally House. It's your city, it's your house, it's a Rally House.
Shop St. Louis City SC in-store and online at rallyhouse.com.
We go where you go. 1120 AM, 98.7 FM, KMOX.com.
It's just, Amy, we're just talking about this murder that happened right before the show started yesterday. 10 o'clock in the morning is when we get going, 10 to 1 every day.
Mm-hmm. Just down the street.
2 blocks from here.
Mm-hmm.
2 blocks from here. Guy sitting on the curb and another man standing right next to him. And the guy on the curb appeared to be in distress. Something was going on high. Couldn't really tell. We had a texter who suggested that he had been shot before and was sitting there recovering. I don't know if that's true, and I'm not sure where he heard that, so you can't say that that's what happened. But he was clearly he wasn't in the right frame of mind.
He was out of it for whatever reason. Like.
And there's a guy standing right next to him who is fumbling with the weapon for half a minute, which is a very long time, loading the gun, putting the clip in, cocking it, and then just shoots him.
Execution style to the head. He just shoots him in the head on the street in broad daylight.
It's a weird thing because that is somewhat out of the ordinary for St. Louis. But the problem is it's only somewhat out of the ordinary for downtown. So it's almost like we're not making light of it. We're too used to it. I'm not totally shocked that it happened. And that's
No.
the problem.
Well, when I first heard like, oh, we got a body on the street, I was like, yep, somebody was murdered just down the street. And you're so used to hearing about that type of thing that your first thought is, oh, that's St. Louis.
Yeah.
Then you hear he has a bullet hole in his head. And then you're like, okay, this seems very different. And then the video came out that he was just shot execution style. Even for St. Louis, that seems brazen and grotesque on a next level, like a war zone. It's completely unacceptable. I think previously there should have been a press conference with the mayor and the city leaders saying this is unacceptable.
Yeah.
But we're just moving on.
Let's talk to Kevin in Kirkwood on KMOX. Hi, Kevin. Hello, Kevin.
How you doing?
Yep.
Good. Yeah, it's really horrible out there, the things that are happening. But I promise you one thing: it's not all Kim Gardner's fault. I guess hopefully we can agree with that. I mean, she's being scapegoated, I think, to a large degree, because these problems are much bigger than her. I mean, the problems that the shootings are. This is a national epidemic, and it goes along the lines of immorality, and hate and those types of things being preached from the upper echelons of our leadership, and it's being normalized and that kind of thing. So it's not just Kim Gardner, and it's not. I'm not the biggest Kim Gardner fan even, but St. Louis has quite a history. And if you look at, I wish we could actually report these things more balanced. To say she does have a point on a lot of things. She's not the best politician. She's a lawyer. I wish she ought to hire maybe a PR person or someone or a communications person, because she just doesn't.
Well, she has one.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
she does have one.
Yeah, well, she needs a better one, I think. But there are problems on every level here, And the new police chief, I'm sure, is finding this out. This didn't start happening overnight. This happened over time,
Mm-hmm.
And there's plenty of blame to go around for everyone, but to put it squarely on her, let's be fair, and let's be truthful, in our reporting of these different things. And let's not be sensationalistic to start off with it's one person's fault. That on its face is just silly.
Well, you will get, Kevin, from me, you'll get no disagreement on that. I do think the problems are well beyond her. Where I stand on this, though, is it does not, there's nothing that says to me, with the exception of her handling the Lamar Johnson situation, which was good. Otherwise, it does not appear to me that she's really up to this challenge. It doesn't look that way. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I could be presented evidence otherwise, but all the evidence suggests, the stuff that I have seen, is that she, for this job, is just not capable of doing it.
It was a good call by Kevin.
It's a good call, but I also agree the problems are much, much, much deeper than her or this mayor. These problems in St. Louis have been going on for decades. Amy Marks Kors and Chris Ranji on the show on KMOX.
It was heard live on KMOX.
An absolutely wild news conference by Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner that devolved into a rally.
And what did Dave Glover think about it?
Personally, my initial response is that was so much worse than I could have ever dreamt. This is one of the most embarrassing days in the history of St. Louis politics. What an embarrassing joke that entire thing was. My only solace is that anyone with half a brain out there listening or watching can see through this.
Dave Glover speaks his mind.
There's no way that just happened.
Weekdays beginning at 1 on KMOX.
When you hire your local CertaPro painters, you get
the power of a cut above.
Decades of expertise to transform your home. From so-so to virtuoso.
The power of neighborhood painters.
We live where you live and probably like the same pizza place you do. Put
the power of pro
to work for you today. Get your project started at CertaPro.com.
Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated.
Wait and see. Sometimes that can be a good approach, but it isn't always a good strategy when it comes to your retirement. The decisions you make today regarding your savings and investments can have a huge impact on your retirement. Ken and Lori Heisey and the team at Heisey Advisory Group know how hard it can be to watch your accounts go up and down. They've seen the market at its highs and lows and everywhere in between. So if you want to talk to an experienced advisor to help make the most out of these turbulent times, call 314-328-4400 now. That's 314-328-4400. Don't wait any longer. Call Ken and Lori Heisey at Heisey Advisory Group to see what's possible with your retirement plan. 314-328-4400.
Investment advisory products and services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor, and Pine Ridge Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor. AEWM and Pine Ridge Advisors, LLC are not affiliated companies.
At 12:30, it's cloudy and 52 degrees downtown at the Arch. The Biden administration is trying to strengthen its commitment to helping the Ohio community of East Palestine heal and recover from the recent train derailment and fire. It sent toxic fumes into the air and prompted evacuations. EPA Administrator Michael Regan.
Residents and business owners can stop in to get their questions answered, sign up for in-air home monitoring, and learn more about cleaning services.
Passion at the center of the Supreme Court oral arguments over President Biden's school loan program.
Some students camped out overnight outside of the Supreme Court in support of the program that could give more than $40 million some debt forgiveness.
This to me is very important.
Justice Department lawyer Elizabeth Freelagar told justices without the program,
defaults and delinquencies will surge.
But James Campbell, lawyer for 6 states trying to block it, says
this court should declare this program unlawful.
Allison Keyes, CBS News, Washington.
Emergency vehicles on 64 East at Prospect this afternoon, high about 60. Tonight, the low 47. And the news is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Refresh your space with new floors by Champion Floor Company. They offer ceramic, vinyl, carpet, and even natural wood floors that are sanded and finished. Schedule a free estimate at championfloor.com. Champion Floor, delivering excellence every day.
The Cardinals are in a pretty good spot right now. They are the overwhelming favorite to win the NL Central, while they also have a lot of high-end talent on the way. Top prospect Jordan Walker is pushing for an opening day roster spot, while younger prospects like Tink Hence and Mason Wynn are having good showings participating in big league camp. Manager Oliver Marmol likes where the organization is at.
We're in a good spot as an organization because our big league team is good. And we have a lot of young talent also coming through on both sides of the ball. So, yeah, it's definitely a good feeling to know that these young guys are being prepared and have ownership over their stuff the way they do.
Hence throws a scoreless inning in the club's 12-7 win against the Mets yesterday, while Wynn goes 1 for 3. This spring training report is brought to you by Norm's Bargain Barn and Wilkie Window and Door. From the TR Hughes Homes Broadcast Center in Jupiter, Matt Pauley, KMOX Sports.
This Cardinals Spring Training Report is sponsored by Norm's Bargain Barn and Wilkie Window and Door.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Today, we're the largest injury firm in the world, and I'm thankful to you for trusting us all these years. We'll always be here for the people, not the powerful. We'll always be here for you. Morgan & Morgan.
Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Broadcasting from the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
Declare financial freedom from car payments in 3 easy steps. 1, visit St. Charles Hyundai during our amazing Payment Freedom event. 2, choose your favorite new ride. 3, drive payment free until summer 2023. That's right, make no payments until summer 2023 at St. Charles Hyundai, the #1 volume Hyundai dealership since 2015 in the Metro St. Louis area. St. Charles Hyundai, located a quarter mile east of Mid-Rivers Mall Drive off I-70, online at stcharleshyundai.com. Interest, if any, accrues during the deferral period, expires 2/28/23.
I'm Dakota Hudson. I'm Jordan Hicks. I'm Cardinals pitcher Jock Flaherty. I'm Tommy Edman. I'm Cardinals outfielder Jordan Walker. I'm Paul DeYoung. I'm Woodson Contreras. I'm Adam Wainwright, and you're listening to the voice of the Cardinals, KMOX.
It's KMOX, Amy March-Kors and Chris Ranji. We are very thankful that you're listening to the show today. Download the Odyssey app and listen to us live there. Anything you miss is all podcasted there on that free Odyssey app. You can also listen on 98.7 FM and, of course, the old trusty 11:20 a.m. Saw this story about a week and a half ago, Amy, and I lost my mind.
Okay.
I lost my mind because did you know the state of Missouri has a state dinosaur?
Is it the one by the Science Center?
No,
The T-Rex?
No, it's not like a live. It's not like a live. It's not animatronic. It's like a real. There
No,
are
I didn't.
fossils that were found here in Missouri, and there's a state dinosaur. To talk about that, Casey Holliday, Director of Graduate Admissions and Associate Professor of Pathology and Anatomical Science at Mizzou, is with us now on KMOX. Good afternoon, Casey.
Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
All right, so I was very surprised. Like, I figured there were dinosaurs that came through here at some point. When did we get a state dinosaur?
Yeah, well, the state dinosaur was officially named or crowned around 2004, but we've had fossils. We've known we've had dinosaur fossils here for quite some time. I think they're first kind of discovered in the 1940s. And those fossils ended up being donated to the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C. But since the site, which is down in the Boot Heel, has been worked over by some new paleontologists, including those from Missouri, but some from the Field Museum as well now. And so we're learning more and more about our state dinosaur.
Is our state dinosaur the dinosaur, the fossilized dinosaur that was found in Missouri, like a duck-billed dinosaur?
That is correct. Its name is Parasaurus. It's a type of duck-billed dinosaur, sort of related to some that we find in Montana. But again, we're on the other side of the kind of mid-Cretaceous seaway. And so we don't know a lot about duck-billed dinosaurs on this side of the big inland sea that we used to have.
So Parasaurus missouriensis, is that correct? Did I
That
say
is, yep.
Okay. So I'm looking at him, and he looks okay. What do you think of him?
What do I think?
Yeah, what do you
it's
think
a
about-
handsome dinosaur. Duck bills are cool. They're big. They're kind of big browsing or grazing dinosaurs that were probably food for things like T-Rex and other big predatory dinosaurs. They're cool. They probably had nests that they laid eggs in, and they likely hung out as big herds.
You mentioned the mid-Cretaceous seaway.
Mhm.
That's one of my favorite seaways. But for those of us,
Mine too.
for those of our listeners who don't know what that is, what does that mean?
Yeah, so around 70 million years ago or so, back in the late Cretaceous, all of the Great Plains, from Texas all the way up to Kansas and all the way up into Alberta, was all actually underwater. There's a big sea that stretched from basically the Gulf of Mexico all the way up to the Arctic Circle, which left the Rocky Mountains as its own kind of continent, so to speak, and then our side on this side of it, which is known as Appalachia.
So when is the last time, because we're talking about the discovery going back almost 20 years now, how often are fossils found, actual dinosaur fossils found in Missouri?
Oh, so there's one site. It's known as the Chronister Dinosaur Site. It's down in the Boot Heel, and it has been worked on. That site has been kind of dug on, sort of infrequently, more so since 2000 or so, when the landowners built a greenhouse kind of up over the dig site and were able to kind of work on it in a better fashion outside of the elements. That all got kind of knocked down by an ice storm, apparently, around 2007 or 8. And then just about 2 or 3 years ago, they were able to kind of clean up the site again and start doing work on it.
When you do find dinosaur bones in Missouri, what's the state of those bones? Are they like little fragments? Are we talking like 12-foot long bones?
Sure. I haven't seen all the new material that's come out. Most of the big jackets are now being shipped up to the Field Museum in Chicago. The site itself is kind of an old sinkhole. And so basically there's a hole in the ground and dinosaurs and crocodiles and stuff would fall into it. And then boulders and rocks would fall onto those skeletons and then more would pile up. So some of the fossils are kind of, let's say, smeared a bit, over rocks. So they're all kind of fragmentary. There are some larger elements from what I understand, but most of them come from this kind of somewhat smashed whole skeleton of Parasaurus, which got shipped up to the Field Museum. The rock itself is a little muddy and soft and wet. And so the jacket is basically going to spend a couple years drying out sort of in the storeroom at the Field Museum for a while before they can really work on it.
Oh, wow. It takes that long?
Yeah, you can't really work on fossils when they're wet. So they kind of have to dry it out really slowly before they can really get at it.
Oh, that's really interesting. I didn't even think about that. So I was reading a story that we had multiple different species, different kinds of dinosaurs that have been through this state, and there's one called an Albertosaurus, which is it's like a Tyrannosaurus Rex but smaller, right?
Yep, smaller and a little earlier in time. Tyrannosaurus is kind of latest Cretaceous, like 66 million years ago, and this site is kind of around 70 million years or so. So it's not exactly, it's a smaller early cousin of T-Rex known as an Albertosaurus.
So how close to St. Louis has anything been found?
Well, that's a good question. So the Chronister dinosaur site is down in the Boot Heel. The only other dinosaur evidence or fossils that we have in the state comes from a county right along the Mississippi River south of St. Louis. I think it's Greene County or something. And somebody claims to have found a chunk of some sort of dinosaur in a cave deposit there. And that's the only other dinosaur material we have in Missouri. Most of the rocks we have here aren't kind of dinosaur fossil bearing rocks. They're a lot older, with lots of little shelly things and corals and things like that.
So I'm reading a story from the Columbia Missourian about the state dinosaur and how the House voted a year ago to update the name for scientific accuracy. What's the history behind that about the name being inaccurate? Now they voted to make it more accurate.
Yeah, so Parasaurus used to be known as Hypsibenia, and then it also was known as some other name ages ago. And sometimes fossils get new names as we learn more about their skeletons, for example. We might first find a chunk of something and think it belongs to this named dinosaur, and then we discover more and we realize it kind of goes with that named dinosaur. Also, sometimes people will name animals, not knowing that that name's already been used on some other animal, and so you can't really have the same, Tyrannosaurus can't be used twice in different animals in the world. So sometimes we have to shuffle names around as we learn about other named things, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I know when I was a kid that I judged my dinosaurs. I love dinosaurs when I was a kid. And I judged how cool they were based on whether or not I thought they could beat up other dinosaurs. So could our dinosaur, could it take any other ones? I know you said it's an herbivore, but if there was a fight...
it's really big, right? So, we're kind of afraid of cattle because they're big and heavy, and if they kick us, they can kill us, right?
That's right.
So, these big duck-billed dinosaurs are serious animals, right? So, water buffalo kill more people in Africa than just about anything else, and so we kind of have to be afraid of these really big, heavy herbivores because they're going to kind of defend their turf and stuff too, right?
Yeah. Is that because people see a water buffalo and think, oh, that's harmless, and they get close to it?
Yeah, maybe. Farming animals, we spend a lot of time near them, and we don't always give them the respect that they deserve, and we get kicked or stomped or whatever.
So
right.
I'm wondering about just across the river in Illinois, and this river is huge, but I don't know what it looked like when dinosaurs were around. What is there difference between what was found over there, or was anything found over there?
On the other side of the Mississippi River?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So we have some fossils found over there, too. There is like a Tyrannosaurus cousin found from, I think, in Mississippi.
Oh, okay.
And then we have lots of sort of dinosaur fossils over in Connecticut and New Jersey.
Okay.
But we don't really find so many kind of in between Missouri and the East Coast.
Oh, that's
there just
interesting.
aren't a lot of rocks that have the fossils in them.
Yeah. So as far as you know, nothing in the state of Illinois.
Oh, I don't want to say nothing because we never having lots of dinosaurs, as far as I know.
That's why he moved to St. Louis.
That is I wanted to be closer to the dinosaurs.
So how many types of dinosaurs then have been found in Missouri? Just that one?
So currently, down at this fossil site in the Boot Heel, the Chronister dinosaurs, 4 species of dinosaurs so far. One is Parasaurus, this big duckbill. We also have some kind of velociraptor teeth, as well as some Tyrannosaur material. And I've heard there's some other armored dinosaur material that might have come out of it. So they're hoping to find more species of dinosaurs down in this pit. So besides more duck-billed dinosaur material, which they know they're going to get, they're really hoping to find more other species that might have been living alongside of our state dinosaur, Parasaurus.
We talk a lot of politics on this show, and what I'm learning is if I had to choose between politics or dinosaurs are more
way
fun.
Better.
Yeah.
This is way more fun.
This is way more fun.
Sure.
Okay, well.
Because politics really sucks, Casey. I don't know if you know that or not.
Sure. Are we going this way?
No,
No, we don't have
good.
to. No, I was just saying,
No.
I was just observing, talking about dinosaurs is more
I'm starting to
fun.
get really sad now.
You know
See?
what? I don't think I've ever had a guest say, are we going this way? Are we really going to do
Let's
this
not.
right now?
Let's not. No, I think we've had many who have said that. Like, oh, please, let's not do
Are
this.
you really going to
That's
go
great.
here? Yeah.
No, what you got? We can talk politics.
No, we love the
No,
dinosaurs.
Casey, we're not going to do it. Not today.
Okay.
We have all right. So if people ask this question all the time, it's like one of those stupid questions that you just can't answer. Well, maybe you could. If dinosaur, would we have made it to where we are now and being as sophisticated as we are now if we coexisted?
All right, just to be a pedant, I have to say that dinosaurs do still exist because birds are a living form of dinosaurs related to
Way to
velociraptors.
go, Casey.
But, obviously, if we had Parasaurus and T-Rex and stuff still living around or whatever they look like 60 million years later, I don't think people would be around in any way familiar to us.
Okay. But we definitely did not put saddles on them and ride them, right?
No, we don't have any fossil evidence of that.
Okay. I just want to make sure because there's a museum I heard about. I think it's in
Yeah.
Kentucky.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway. All right, Casey, we appreciate the information today, and we'll have you on soon. Talk politics.
This is great. I'd love to anytime.
This
It's
was a
very nice
lot
of
of
you all to
fun.
have me.
We appreciate it. We really do. Thank you.
Sure. Talk to you soon again.
That is Casey Holliday, professor of pathology and why can I not say anatomical?
I don't know.
Anatomical science at Mizzou.
Casey Holliday, he's a hoot. I like him.
Casey Holliday
He's
is
a real
great.
hoot.
And he was ready to get into some
was.
Republican primary talk. You want to hear about the morning consult poll that just came out? Has Donald Trump ahead of DeSantis by 18 points?
Today on the show, we're talking the circuit attorney and dinosaurs in Missouri. I mean, hey,
Listen,
the full spectrum of interests.
we have had quite a week and a half
We have.
here in St. Louis. Let us talk a little damn dinosaurs, okay?
I did.
We certainly did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Are we going to talk about Seinfeld?
Oh, yeah. You want to do that?
Let's do it.
I have a thing that happened over a couple of days ago, and I was stunned, absolutely stunned by a Seinfeld thing, a show that's been off the air since 1998. Couldn't believe it. Tell you about it next on KMOX. In fact, before we go to break for real, let me tell you that it's time to get your eyes checked. Like you need to now. The annual eye exam, this is a great time to do it. There's really no bad time to do it. But the folks at Ophthalmology Associates will take care of you. They take care of all of us here at KMOX. They've been a good partner for us here. And when I had my visit with Dr. Malhotra, it was a few months ago, he went over all the things that I am dealing with in my eyes, and he gave me the exact thing to do to fix it. It wasn't anything serious, but there could be problems down the road that I might be heading toward later in life. And I am confident that when those things come to pass, that I will go back to Ophthalmology Associates and I'll have them take care of it. Whether it's Dr. Malhotra or Dr. Greg Birdie or Robert Brusati or Andy Royer, I know they can help me out. I know that if I need to get LASIK down the road, they're awesome and they can do that as well. Whatever your issues are, as minor or as major as they may be, macular degeneration could be something as simple as dry eye. At Ophthalmology Associates, they will pinpoint it and they will help you find the right cure for it. 314-966-5000 to make an appointment. That's 314-966-5000 or youridoc.com.
Hi, this is Brian with Velocity Home Buyers, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 314-782-5555. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition and any price range in the St. Louis area. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that needs updating, but you don't have the time or money for it? Great, because I love buying outdated houses. I buy vacant houses, behind on taxes houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 314-782-5555. That's 314-782-5555.
Hi, this is Kent Newbold at Newbold Toyota. If you're worried about gas prices, Toyota has the most models of hybrid electrics in the industry. From the best-selling Camry to the best-selling RAV4, we've got it all. So come see us. That's Newbold Toyota in O'Fallon, Illinois, or newboldtoyota.com. You'll be sold on Newbold.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
Let's face it, credit cards are pretty much a necessity.
New tires for the car? Here's my card.
I order takeout, here's my card. And most of us just accept the high interest rates credit cards charge as a necessary evil.
What are you going to do?
Get a low fixed-rate credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream from $5,000 to $100,000 and pay off those credit card balances. Apply online, and you could get your money as soon as the day you apply. The average credit card company charges over 19% APR. But with Lightstream, you can get a fixed rate as low as 7.99% APR with autopay and excellent credit.
Now I can pay off my high-interest credit cards and save money with a much lower rate.
Apply today at lightstream.com/radio and get an additional interest rate discount. That's lightstream.com/radio. Lightstream.com/radio.
Subject to credit approval. Rates range from 7.99% APR to 23.99% APR and includes 0.5% autopay discount. Lowest rate requires excellent credit. Terms and conditions apply, and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/radio for more information.
Stress and anxiety reactions following disasters can be challenging. If you were impacted by the recent floods, show me hope, because help is available. Find resources and local providers at moshowmehope.org. Brought to you by the Missouri Department of Mental Health.
Furnish hope right here in St. Louis. Donate your unneeded furniture and household goods to Home Sweet Home. Visit www.homesweethomestl.org to learn more.
More Amy, more Chris. What is this weird show? The Show on KMOX.
Amy, I found out over the weekend, and I am a Seinfeld honk.
Yeah.
I'm a Seinfeld guy. You know this.
Yes. As am I.
A lot of people are. You are too. It's just one of those shows that maybe the most quotable show of all time.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what would be more quotable than Seinfeld. So it's syndicated. It is on every day. Since the early 90s, Seinfeld has pretty much been on just about every day of the week somewhere, maybe not some Saturdays or Sundays, but every weekday it's on somewhere. It's always on. So I've seen every episode. I've seen every episode multiple times. I can quote a lot of it. There is an episode, I thought I saw them all, but there's one that I had no idea it existed.
That you watched, but it was on the syndicated channel?
So I was on YouTube,
okay,
and there was a Seinfeld clip on YouTube, and I clicked on it, and I start to watch it, and it's Kramer pretending to be wealthy, looking at an apartment that he's thinking about buying, and I'm watching him talk to the realtor, and I'm thinking to myself, I have no idea what this is. I have never seen this.
Did you think
And then-
I've got to be missing something? I'm forgetting it.
Yeah, I'm like, what was it that Jerry comes in and he's pretending to look for it, and it turns out they just wanted to use the bathroom? So I'm like, I've never seen this episode. I have no idea what it is. I looked it up. The third to last episode of the entire series So they did the finale, which was in 2 parts. I just counted as 1.
Mhm.
Right before that, there was a clip show that was done in 2 parts. I just count that as 1. The last episode right before that was an episode called the Puerto Rican Day Parade.
Mhm.
And I never knew it existed. And the entire premise of the episode is they're on their way back from somewhere and they get downtown New York. It's Sunday and they have run directly into the Puerto Rican Day Parade and it shut down traffic. So they are stuck in traffic in the city. They can't move their car and they're freaking out because they want to get home. Elaine's tired. Kramer has to go to the bathroom. It's like this whole ordeal. They end up getting out of the car. They get into an argument with a guy in another car. And I'm watching this going, where was this episode? So apparently in 1998, in this episode, on accident, Kramer sets fire to the Puerto Rican flag.
Mhm.
And there are Puerto Rican supporters who are right there. And in fact, the guys who stole the armoire, remember those
Yep,
guys?
Yes.
The who doesn't want to wear the ribbon? That guy?
The AIDS ribbon.
Yeah,
march,
the AIDS ribbon.
The AIDS march,
Those guys are right there. And Kramer sees them and he freaks out. So there was an organization in New York called the National Puerto Rican Coalition, and Manuel Mirabal was quoted as saying that it was an unconscionable insult to burn the Puerto Rican flag on camera. And it wasn't about burning the flag. It was an accident. The whole thing was an accident and it was a misunderstanding and it made people who were standing right by the car where this thing happened. So they took it out of rotation. They took it out of syndication. And apparently years later, they put it back in. I think it was in early 2000 or 2001. They put it back into syndication, but I have never seen this episode.
So it did air. It aired
did
originally,
air.
and then and people found it offensive, so they took it out of syndication.
Right.
Until what year?
So 2000 or 2001 or maybe 02. It
Mhm.
was not too long after, but I've never even seen it on syndication. I've never
No.
seen it anywhere. Isn't
Interesting.
This is crazy, right?
It is crazy. It's also funny that it's the guys, the same guys from the AIDS flag
It's awesome.
episode or the AIDS ribbon episode.
They are so good at callbacks on that show. A texter says, more dino content, please. Listen, we'll have more dinosaur conversation for you soon. Dave Glover Show next on KMOX.
Hey guys, this month's DGS KMOX special with Zero Res is 3 rooms cleaned, starting at just $119 plus. They're throwing in a free hallway. Take $75 off your air